I need to tell you something before this goes any further. Claire's voice trembled across the candlelit table, her fingers gripping the napkin like a lifeline. Ryan watched her eyes, tired, guarded, already bracing for rejection. He'd seen that look before, in his own mirror, after his divorce shattered everything he thought love meant. "If you want to leave because I have 2 kids," she whispered, "I'll understand. Most men do." The words hung between them like a verdict waiting to happen. Ryan felt his chest tighten, not with fear, but with recognition. She was offering him an exit before he even knew he needed one. But what if he didn't want to leave? What if he was exactly where he was supposed to be? Stay with me until the end of this story. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this journey travels. Ryan Bennett's alarm clock screamed at 5:47 a.m., 3 minutes before it was supposed to. He'd been awake for an hour already, staring at the ceiling of his modest townhouse bedroom, watching shadows shift across the popcorn texture he kept meaning to scrape off. Outside Colorado Springs, the November darkness pressed against the windows like something solid, something with weight. He silenced the alarm before it could wake Oliver. The house was cold. It was always cold in the mornings now, ever since he'd started keeping the thermostat at 62 to save money. Ryan pulled on his Colorado Rockies hoodie, a gift from his ex-wife 3 Christmases ago, back when they still pretended everything was fine, and padded down the hallway in socked feet. Oliver's door was cracked open 6 inches, exactly as Ryan had left it the night before. He paused there, listening to his son's breathing, deep, steady, the sound of complete trust. 8 years old and already too smart for his own good, too observant, too quick to notice when his father was pretending to be okay. The divorce had been finalized 14 months ago, but Ryan still caught himself listening for Amanda's footsteps, still reached for 2 coffee mugs instead of 1. The muscle memory of marriage died hard. Downstairs, the kitchen was exactly as he'd left it. Dish towel folded over the oven handle, Oliver's Avengers lunchbox clean and ready on the counter, bills stacked in order of urgency near the microwave. Ryan had learned to carry order like armor. If everything had its place, maybe the chaos inside his chest would settle too. He started the coffee maker, its familiar gurgle breaking the morning silence. While it brewed, he pulled out the ingredients for breakfast. Whole grain bread, peanut butter, banana. Oliver's favorite. Simple, predictable, safe. Safe. That word had become Ryan's religion. Not exciting, not passionate, not the kind of love songs were written about. Just safe, stable, survivable. He thought about the spreadsheet waiting on his laptop upstairs. Budget projections for the next 6 months, color-coded and merciless. His job as a logistics coordinator for a medical supply company paid the bills, barely. Amanda's child support helped, when it arrived on time. The numbers worked if nothing unexpected happened. Nothing unexpected ever happened anymore. Ryan poured coffee into his number 1 dad mug, ironic, really, considering how often he felt like he was failing, and checked his phone. 6:04 a.m. 17 new emails, mostly work. 1 text from his sister Julie, sent at midnight. "You coming to Thanksgiving this year, or you gonna hide again?" He deleted it without responding. By 6:30, Oliver stumbled into the kitchen, hair sticking up in 3 different directions, wearing his Batman pajamas and 1 sock. His green eyes, Amanda's eyes, were still heavy with sleep. "Morning, champ," Ryan said, injecting energy he didn't feel into his voice. "Morning," Oliver mumbled, climbing onto his chair at the small kitchen table. "Can I have chocolate milk?" "After you finish your toast." "That's not fair." "Life's not fair, buddy. Eat your breakfast." Oliver picked up his toast with theatrical reluctance, studying it like it might contain poison. "Carson's mom lets him have chocolate milk for breakfast." "Carson's mom isn't your mom." The words landed wrong. Oliver's face shifted, something painful flickering across it before he looked down at his plate. Ryan cursed himself silently. References to mom were landmines in their household, scattered randomly through everyday conversation, always ready to explode. "I didn't mean," Ryan started. "It's okay," Oliver interrupted, taking a bite of toast. "I know." But he didn't know. How could an 8-year-old understand that his mother had left not because of him, but because of everything else? Because she'd married too young, had a child too soon, woke up one morning at 33 and realized she'd never figured out who she was supposed to be? Amanda lived in Denver now, 100 miles that might as well have been 1,000. She saw Oliver every other weekend when her schedule allowed. Sometimes she canceled last minute. Work emergency, friend's wedding, migraines that appeared with suspicious regularity. Each cancellation carved something new out of Oliver's chest, something Ryan couldn't fix with peanut butter toast and chocolate milk. They finished breakfast in companionable silence. Ryan packed Oliver's lunchbox, turkey sandwich, apple slices, string cheese, granola bar, while Oliver brushed his teeth upstairs. The morning routine was a choreographed dance they'd performed so many times they could do it in their sleep. School drop-off was at 7:45. Ryan's work started at 8:30. The timing worked if traffic cooperated, which it usually did. "Got your homework?" Ryan called as Oliver thundered down the stairs. "In my backpack." "Library book?" "Yes, Dad." "Jacket?" "It's supposed to rain." Oliver held up his navy blue windbreaker like evidence. "Can we stop for donuts?" "We had breakfast." "But we always stop on Tuesdays." Ryan checked his phone. 7:32. They had time, barely. "All right, but just one donut. And we're not telling your mother." Oliver's grin was pure sunshine. "Deal." The drive to Pine Grove Elementary took 14 minutes. They spent it listening to the radio, some pop station Oliver liked, full of songs about heartbreak sung by teenagers who'd never had their hearts broken. Ryan let his mind drift, autopilot carrying him through familiar streets. He thought about last night's dream, the one that kept recurring. He was standing in his wedding venue, watching Amanda walk toward him, except when she got close, her face kept changing, melting, shifting, becoming someone else. He always woke up before he saw who. "Dad?" Oliver's voice pulled him back. "Yeah, bud? Are you lonely?" The question hit like a gut punch. Ryan glanced in the rearview mirror, saw his son watching him with those two knowing eyes. "What makes you ask that?" Oliver shrugged, picking at a loose thread on his backpack. "You don't smile much anymore. And you never talk about your friends." "I have friends." "Name one." Ryan opened his mouth, closed it. The truth was, most of his friends had been couple friends. Amanda's college roommates and their husbands, neighbors they'd grilled with on summer weekends, people who'd quietly chosen sides when the marriage imploded. He had work acquaintances. His sister. A college buddy he texted maybe twice a year. "Mr. Patterson at work," Ryan said finally. "We have lunch sometimes." "That's sad, Dad." "Thanks, bud. Really appreciate that." "I'm just saying, you should meet someone." "I meet people every day." "You know what I mean." Oliver pressed his face against the window, breath fogging the glass. "Someone nice, someone who makes you happy." Ryan pulled into the school parking lot, navigating around minivans and SUVs disgorging children. "I'm happy, Oliver. I have you." "That's different." "How is it different?" "Because I'm your kid. You have to love me. I mean someone who chooses you." The wisdom of 8-year-olds was devastating sometimes. Ryan parked, turned in his seat to face his son properly. "Listen to me. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. You understand? The absolute best. I don't need anything else." Oliver studied him seriously. "Okay, but if you did meet someone nice, I wouldn't be mad." "Good to know. Now get going before you're late." They bumped fists, their thing, and Oliver grabbed his backpack, scrambling out of the car. He turned back at the last second. "Love you, Dad." "Love you too, champ." Ryan watched until Oliver disappeared into the building, swallowed by the stream of children flooding through the double doors. Then he sat there for a moment, hands on the steering wheel, breathing. Someone who chooses you. When had that stopped being something he believed in? Work was work. Emails about shipment delays, phone calls with frustrated vendors, the endless digital paperwork that formed the backbone of modern logistics. Ryan moved through it mechanically, his mind half present, thinking about grocery shopping and Oliver's upcoming parent-teacher conference and the strange noise his car had started making. By 5:30 p.m., he'd cleared his inbox and shut down his computer. Most of his coworkers had left already, eager to get home to their families, their lives, their Tuesday evening plans. Ryan took his time packing up, in no rush to return to his empty townhouse. Oliver was at Amanda's tonight. Every other Tuesday, that was the arrangement. Ryan should have been grateful for the break, for one evening of peace and quiet. Instead, These nights stretched out like prison sentences. Hours to fill with nothing, nobody waiting for him. Silence so thick it had texture. He drove toward home on autopilot, then found himself taking a detour downtown. There was a coffee shop he'd been meaning to try, one of those independent places that roasted their own beans and had chalkboard menus. The kind of place Amanda would have loved, back when she still cared about artisanal coffee and supporting local businesses. Stop thinking about Amanda. The coffee shop was called The Daily Grind, a pun so obvious it was almost charming. Ryan pushed through the door at 6:47 p.m., immediately hit by the smell of espresso and cinnamon. The space was cozy, crowded, all exposed brick and Edison bulbs and mismatched furniture. A barista with purple hair and multiple facial piercings worked the machine with practiced efficiency. A line of 6 people snaked from the counter. Ryan joined it, pulling out his phone to avoid making eye contact with anyone. That was the social contract of public spaces. Everyone pretending to be fascinated by their devices, maintaining the illusion of privacy in public. The line moved slowly. Ryan inched forward, reading the same work email 3 times without absorbing it. Someone's perfume was giving him a headache. The music was too loud, some indie folk singer mourning lost love with an acoustic guitar. He was almost to the counter when it happened. The woman in front of him, Ryan hadn't been paying attention, just saw the back of her head, brown hair pulled into a messy bun, reached into her purse for her wallet. The motion was rushed, impatient. Her hand caught on something. A business card flew out, fluttered to the floor like a wounded bird. She didn't notice. Ryan watched it land near his foot, plain white cardstock with blue text. He bent to pick it up automatically, that ingrained politeness his mother had beaten into him as a child. "Excuse me," he said, straightening. "You dropped—" She turned around, and Ryan forgot what he was saying. Later, he would try to explain it to Oliver, to Julie, to himself. It wasn't love at first sight. He didn't believe in that anymore, if he ever had. It wasn't physical attraction, though she was attractive in a tired, real way that made magazine beautiful seem fake by comparison. It was recognition. Looking at her face, those exhausted brown eyes, that guarded smile, the way she held herself like she was bracing for impact, Ryan saw himself. The same weariness, the same careful distance, the same expression of someone who'd been disappointed enough times to stop expecting anything different. "Oh," she said, taking the card from his hand. Their fingers brushed. "Thank you. I'm always dropping things. My kids say I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached." Kids, plural. Ryan filed that away. "No problem," he managed. She glanced at the card, laughed a little. "Not even my card. It's my dentist's. I've been meaning to schedule a cleaning for 6 months. I think my last cleaning was 8 months ago. We're both failures at dental hygiene." Apparently. They smiled at each other, a moment of shared human connection in a crowded coffee shop. Then she turned back toward the counter, and Ryan thought that was it. A brief, pleasant interaction that would evaporate as soon as they stepped outside. But the line wasn't moving. The person at the register was having some complicated issue with their order, something about almond milk versus oat milk, and whether they'd been charged correctly. The barista was patient but firm. The discussion dragged on. "Jesus," the woman muttered under her breath. "I just want a latte." Ryan surprised himself by laughing. "Right? It's not that complicated." She turned toward him again, fully this time, and he got a better look. Mid-30s, probably, wearing scrubs under a coat, hospital scrubs, the kind nurses wore. Her face was bare of makeup except for some lingering mascara. There was a coffee stain on her sleeve she either hadn't noticed or didn't care about. She looked real. Thoroughly, completely real. "Long day?" Ryan asked. 12-hour shift. "You?" "Just the regular 8, but it felt like 12. "What do you do?" "Logistics coordinator. Medical supplies." "It's exactly as exciting as it sounds." She smiled, a real smile this time, reaching her eyes. "I'm a nurse, so I probably benefit from your exciting logistics work. You're welcome for your bandages. My patients will be thrilled to know someone's coordinating their gauze delivery." They were flirting. The realization hit Ryan like a splash of cold water. He was actually flirting with someone, engaging in playful banter, feeling that electric current of mutual attraction he'd forgotten existed. It felt terrifying and wonderful in equal measure. The line finally moved. The complicated customer gathered their drink and pastries and left in a huff. The woman, Ryan still didn't know her name, stepped up to order. "Large latte, please," she told the purple-haired barista. "2 shots, whole milk, and one of those lemon bars." "Rough day?" the barista asked sympathetically. "You have no idea." Ryan ordered after her. Black coffee, medium, nothing fancy. He reached for his wallet to pay, then heard himself saying something he absolutely hadn't planned. "Can I get hers too?" Both women looked at him. The barista raised an eyebrow. The nurse's expression was unreadable. "You don't have to do that," she said carefully. "I know, I want to." "Why?" It was a fair question. Ryan scrambled for an answer that wouldn't sound creepy or desperate. "Because you saved my dentist's business card from a terrible fate on the coffee shop floor?" She studied him for a long moment, some calculation happening behind her eyes. Then, slowly, she smiled. "Okay, thank you." The barista rang them up together. Ryan paid, trying not to think about how this was the most impulsive thing he'd done in months. They moved to the end of the counter to wait for their drinks. "I'm Clara," she said, extending her hand formally. "Ryan." He shook it, feeling ridiculous and pleased. "So, Ryan, the logistics coordinator who buys coffee for strangers, do you do this often?" "Never, actually. This is a first." "Should I be flattered or concerned?" "Probably both." She laughed, and the sound did something to his chest, some loosening of a knot he hadn't realized was there. They stood in comfortable silence while the espresso machine hissed and gurgled. "Clara!" the barista called, setting 2 drinks on the counter. They collected their orders. Clara grabbed her lemon bar. This was it, the natural end of the interaction. They'd walk out, go their separate ways, become a pleasant memory that faded with time. Ryan felt something like panic rising in his throat. "Can I ask you something?" The words came out before he could stop them. Clara paused, hand on the door. "Sure. Would you want to have dinner sometime? With me. Not here. Somewhere nicer." He watched her face close, shudders coming down behind her eyes. The transformation was immediate and heartbreaking. She went from open to guarded in half a second, and Ryan knew he'd made a mistake. "I don't think that's a good idea," she said quietly. "Okay, no pressure. I just thought I have a lot going on right now." "I understand." "Do you?" Her voice had an edge now, something sharp and defensive. "Do you understand what you're asking?" Ryan was confused. "I'm asking you to dinner, that's all." Clara looked at him for a long moment, some internal war playing out on her face. Then, very quietly, "I have 2 kids." She said it like a confession, like an apology, like the answer to a question he hadn't known he was asking. "Okay," Ryan said slowly. 2 kids, a 6-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. I'm a single mom. I work 50 hours a week. I haven't been on a date in almost 2 years because most men run for the hills as soon as they find out. She was giving him an out, providing all the reasons he should walk away, listing the complications and responsibilities and baggage, practically begging him to prove her right, to be like all the other men who'd disappeared. Ryan thought about Oliver, about what his son had said that morning, someone who chooses you. "I have a son," he said. "Oliver, he's 8. I'm divorced. I work too much and I'm probably not great company and I definitely haven't done this in a while, but I'd still like to have dinner with you. If you want to." Clara stared at him. "You're serious?" "Completely." "You're not going to suddenly remember you have plans when I remind you about my kids next week?" "I won't forget. I promise." Something shifted in her expression. Not trust, not yet, but maybe the possibility of trust. The beginning of belief that maybe, possibly, this could be different. "Friday," she said finally. "I can do Friday. My mom watches the kids Friday nights." Ryan's heart did something complicated in his chest. "Friday's perfect." They exchanged numbers, fingers fumbling with phones. Clara's latte was getting cold in her hand, but she didn't seem to notice. When they finally pushed through the door into the November evening, the cold air hit Ryan's face like a baptism. "So I'll text you," he said, suddenly awkward. "Please do. Otherwise, I'll think I imagined this." You didn't. Good. She walked toward her car, a aging Honda with a car seat visible in the back. Ryan watched her go, same as he'd watched Oliver disappear into school that morning. Except this time, he felt something unfamiliar rising in his chest. Hope. It was terrifying. Friday arrived with the weight of expectation. Ryan spent the week trying not to think about it, which meant he thought about it constantly. He told Oliver he had plans Friday night, just dinner with a friend, and Oliver had given him that knowing look 8-year-olds shouldn't possess. A friend who's a girl? Oliver asked. A friend who happens to be a woman, yes. Dad. Oliver. Is she nice? I barely know her. But you think she's nice? Ryan had sighed, ruffling his son's hair. Yeah, bud, I think she's nice. Now it was Friday evening, and Ryan stood in front of his closet, having a minor crisis about what to wear. Everything looked wrong, too formal, too casual, trying too hard, not trying enough. He settled on dark jeans and a button-down shirt, the same outfit he'd worn to his company Christmas party last year. Safe, neutral, unremarkable. He left Oliver with Julie, who'd driven down from Fort Collins with knowing smirks and unsolicited advice. Don't talk about your ex, she instructed, sprawled on Ryan's couch. Don't monopolize the conversation, ask questions, make eye contact. For God's sake, smile occasionally. I know how to go on a date. Do you? When was the last time? Ryan couldn't remember. Before Oliver was born, probably. Amanda had been his high school sweetheart. He'd married the first girl he ever loved and never had to learn the dance of courtship, the careful navigation of new attraction. Just be yourself, Julie said, softening. You're a good guy, Ryan. Anyone would be lucky to have dinner with you. Thanks. I mean it. You're kind and responsible and you make a mean French toast. That's husband material right there. We're having dinner, one dinner. Let's not plan the wedding. I'm just saying, try to have fun. Remember what fun feels like? He didn't, really, but he was willing to try. The restaurant was called Bella Vista, an Italian place Clara had suggested. Ryan arrived 10 minutes early, which meant he spent 10 minutes sitting in his car, second-guessing everything. Should he go in? Wait for her? What if she didn't show up? What if she did? At exactly 7 p.m., a car pulled into the parking lot. Clara emerged and Ryan's breath caught. She'd traded her scrubs for a dark green dress that hugged her frame, hair down around her shoulders instead of pulled back. She looked nervous and beautiful and real. Ryan got out of his car, straightening his shirt. Hey. Hey. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I almost canceled 3 times. What stopped you? I really wanted Italian food. They laughed, and some of the tension broke. Inside, the restaurant was warm and dimly lit, all warm wood and soft music. A hostess led them to a corner table, away from the crowd. Ryan held Clara's chair for her, a gesture that felt old-fashioned and right. This is nice, Clara said, studying the menu. I haven't been here before. Me neither. I looked up reviews. Apparently the carbonara is supposed to be amazing. Are you a carbonara person? I don't know. Am I? It's very tell you a lot about someone. Carbonara people are purists. They want simple and perfect. Marinara people are traditionalists. Alfredo people like comfort. Pesto people are adventurous. Ryan grinned. What does it say about someone if they usually just order pizza? That they have good priorities. The waiter appeared, took their drink orders. Wine for Clara, beer for Ryan. When he left, silence settled over the table like dust. The easy banter from the coffee shop felt distant, unrepeatable. They were 2 strangers sitting across from each other, trying to figure out what came next. So, Ryan started. So, Clara echoed. Tell me about nursing. How long have you been doing it? 10 years. I work in pediatrics at Memorial Regional. It's rewarding and heartbreaking in equal measure. Pediatrics makes sense. You must be patient. You have to be working with kids and parents. Sometimes the parents are harder than the kids. I believe it. They talked about work, safe territory. Clara described difficult shifts, emergency cases, the particular challenges of making scared children feel safe. Ryan talked about logistics, supply chains, the unglamorous back end of healthcare that kept hospitals running. The food arrived. Carbonara for Ryan, chicken piccata for Clara. It was delicious, though Ryan barely tasted it. He was too focused on Clara, on the way her hands moved when she talked, the laugh lines around her eyes, the careful way she seemed to measure every word before speaking. "What about Oliver?" Clara asked. "Your son. What's he like?" Ryan's face softened automatically. "He's incredible, too smart, asks questions I don't know how to answer. He's kind, though, really kind. That's the thing I'm most proud of, raising someone who gives a shit about other people. That's not an accident. Kids learn empathy from their parents. Or in spite of them." Clara tilted her head. "Rough divorce? Is there any other kind?" "Fair point." She took a sip of wine, gathering courage. "My ex was complicated. We were together 5 years. Got pregnant with Sophie accidentally. Well, not accidentally, but sooner than planned. He proposed. I thought we'd make it work." "What happened?" "He left when Noah was 6 months old. Said he wasn't ready to be a father, which was unfortunate timing, considering he already was one." The bitterness in her voice was sharp enough to cut. "I haven't heard from him in 3 years. No calls, no child support, nothing. He moved to Seattle and just vanished." "Jesus. Clara, I'm sorry." "Don't be. We're better off. The kids don't remember him, which is probably a blessing. But it's hard, you know, being everything for them. Mom, dad, provider, emotional support. Some days I feel like I'm drowning." Ryan understood that feeling intimately. Oliver's mom is still around, but barely. She sees him every other week, when it's convenient. Last month she canceled 3 weekends in a row. Watching his face when I have to tell him she's not coming. He trailed off, throat tight. "That's worse, I think," Clara said quietly. "When they're close enough to hope for, but far enough to hurt." "Yeah." They sat with that understanding, the shared knowledge of parenting alone, carrying burdens that should be split between two people. The restaurant buzzed around them, other couples laughing, glasses clinking, lives that looked easier from the outside. Clara's fingers were twisting her napkin again, systematic destruction of paper. Ryan watched, waiting. He could feel something building, some confession hovering on her tongue. "I should tell you something," she said finally. "Okay." "This is the part where most guys leave." Ryan's stomach tightened. "What part?" She looked up, meeting his eyes directly. "The part where I remind you I have 2 kids. Not just mention it casually, but really make sure you understand what that means. I don't have childcare. I don't get spontaneous. I can't do late nights or weekend trips or any of the fun parts of dating. My life is school pickups and pediatrician appointments and reading the same bedtime story 47 times. Okay? Friday is the only night I have free, and that's because my mother drives 45 minutes to babysit. Every other minute of my life belongs to Sophie and Noah. Okay? So if you're looking for someone available and uncomplicated, that's not me. That's never going to be me." Her voice had risen slightly, drawing glances from nearby tables. She looked fierce and vulnerable and exhausted, like she'd delivered this speech too many times to count. Ryan leaned forward, elbows on the table. "Can I tell you something?" "Sure." "I'm a single dad raising an 8-year-old. I know about school pickups and appointments and reading bedtime stories. I know about canceled plans and rearranged schedules and putting someone else first, always. That's not a deal breaker for me. That's my life too." Clara's eyes widened slightly. "Oh, I'm not looking for uncomplicated. I'm just looking for real, for honest, for someone who won't disappear when things get hard. Most people disappear. I'm not most people. You say that now. I mean it." She studied him, searching for the lie, the inevitable disappointment. Ryan held her gaze, letting her see whatever she needed to see. The restaurant noise faded into background hum. They could have been the only 2 people in the world. "I want to believe you," Clara said softly. "Then believe me." "It's not that simple." "Why not?" "Because I have 2 kids who are already dealing with abandonment issues. Because my 4-year-old asks why he doesn't have a daddy. Because my 6-year-old daughter draws pictures of families at school and leaves the father space empty." Her voice cracked. "I can handle being disappointed. I've had practice. But I can't let someone come into their lives just to leave again." Ryan understood, bone deep. He thought about Oliver's face when Amanda canceled visits, that careful blankness that was worse than tears. "I would never do that." "You don't know that." "I do, actually. Because I know what it's like. I know what those empty father spaces feel like from the other side. Clara blinked, and Ryan saw tears threatening. She fought them back, lifting her wine glass to her lips with hands that trembled slightly. "This is a terrible first date," she said with a shaky laugh. "I'm basically listing all my trauma and warning you away. I think it's honest. That counts for something." "Does it?" "Yeah. It means when I ask you for a second date, you'll know I'm asking with my eyes open." "Are you asking for a second date?" "Absolutely." The smile that spread across Clara's face was worth everything. The nervous week, the wardrobe crisis, the fear. It was genuine and surprised and hopeful. "Okay," she whispered. "Yeah?" "Yeah, but I should warn you. Clara." Ryan reached across the table, stopping just short of taking her hand. "I get it. You have kids. You have responsibilities. Your life is complicated. Mine is too. That's okay. We'll figure it out as we go. And if we can't, we'll deal with that honestly too. But can we just try? Can we see where this goes?" She looked at his hand, hovering near hers. Then slowly she closed the distance, lacing her fingers through his. Her palm was warm, slightly calloused from hospital work. "Okay," she said again. "Let's try." They finished dinner talking about lighter things, favorite movies, terrible high school jobs, the weirdest patients Clara had encountered, Oliver's obsession with dinosaurs. The conversation flowed like water, easy and natural, the way it had in the coffee shop. When the check came, they split it evenly, Clara insisting despite Ryan's protests. "I make my own money," she said firmly, "and I believe in equality." "I can respect that." Outside, the November air had teeth. They walked to the parking lot slowly, neither wanting the evening to end. Clara's car was parked near Ryan's, the same aging Honda from before, but up close Ryan could see Sophie's car seat in the back, covered in stickers. A child's drawing was taped to the back window, stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. "That's Sophie's latest masterpiece," Clara said, following his gaze. "She's very artistic. It's beautiful." "She'd love to hear you say that." Clara turned to face him, pulling her coat tighter. "Thank you for tonight, for not running, for understanding. Thank you for giving me a chance. I'm terrified I'm making a mistake." "Me too. But maybe that's how you know it matters? If it was easy, it wouldn't mean anything." Ryan stepped closer, heart hammering. "Can I kiss you?" Clara hesitated, then nodded. "Okay." It was gentle, tentative, the kind of kiss exchanged by people who'd forgotten how this worked. Her lips were soft and tasted like wine. Ryan's hand found the small of her back, pulling her closer. When they broke apart, both were breathing harder. "Wow," Clara whispered. "Yeah. I should go. My mom has to drive back to Boulder tonight. Text me when you get home so I know you made it safely." "That's very sweet. I'm a sweet guy. I'm starting to believe that." They stood there another moment, reluctant to break the spell. Finally, Clara stepped back, fishing her keys from her purse. "Second date," she said. "You mentioned a second date? Next Friday?" "My mom already agreed to 2 Fridays a month, so yes, next Friday." "It's a date." She smiled, climbing into her car. Ryan waited until she'd started the engine and pulled out of the parking lot before walking to his own vehicle. Inside, he sat in silence, processing the evening. His phone buzzed. "Julie. How'd it go?" Ryan typed back. "Good. Really good. Details. Tomorrow. I'm still processing. Did you kiss her?" "Good night, Julie." "That's a yes. I'm so proud of you." Ryan laughed, pocketing his phone. He drove home through quiet streets, mind replaying the evening. Claire's laugh, her honesty, the feel of her hand in his, the fear in her eyes when she talked about her kids, and the courage it took to try anyway. When he picked up Oliver from Julie's, his son took one look at his face and grinned. "You like her," Oliver declared. "Go brush your teeth." "You're smiling. You never smile." "I smile." "Not like that." Oliver wrapped his arms around Ryan's waist, squeezing tight. "I'm glad, Dad. You deserve to be happy." Ryan hugged him back, throat tight. "Thanks, bud." Later, after Oliver was asleep and the house was quiet, Ryan's phone lit up. A text from Clara. "Home safe. Tonight was wonderful. Thank you for being different." He stared at the message for a long time before responding. Thank you for giving me a chance to prove it. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, see you Friday. See you Friday. Ryan set his phone down and stared at his ceiling, the same popcorn texture he'd been meaning to scrape off for months. But tonight, it looked different somehow. Everything looked different. For the first time in 14 months, Ryan Bennett went to sleep feeling something other than resigned. He felt possibility. He felt hope. He felt like maybe, just maybe, there was still space in his carefully ordered life for something unexpected, something real. And in a townhouse across town, Clara Hayes was having similar thoughts, checking on her sleeping children and wondering if she'd just met someone who might actually stay. Someone who saw her complications not as obstacles, but as the reality of loving someone worth loving. Neither of them knew what came next. The road ahead was uncertain, full of potential pitfalls and complications. But for tonight, they had this: the memory of honest conversation and a gentle kiss in a parking lot and the promise of next Friday. Sometimes that was enough to build on. Sometimes that was everything. The second date happened faster than Ryan expected. Clara texted him Sunday afternoon while he was helping Oliver build a Lego spaceship on the living room floor. My mom just offered to take the kids next Saturday, too. Are you free? Ryan's heart jumped. Absolutely. What do you want to do? Something normal? Coffee? A walk? I feel like we had the heavy conversation already. Maybe we can just be? Being sounds perfect. They met at a park along the creek that wound through Colorado Springs, a place Ryan used to bring Oliver when he was younger. The morning was crisp and clear, the kind of December day that made you forget winter was coming. Clara arrived wearing jeans and a burgundy sweater, hair pulled back in a ponytail, looking more relaxed than she had at the restaurant. Hey, she said, falling into step beside him on the walking path. Hey yourself. Ryan fought the urge to take her hand. They'd kissed once, but everything still felt fragile, like he might shatter it with the wrong move. They walked in comfortable silence for a while, watching joggers pass and dogs chase tennis balls. A kid on a bike weaved between pedestrians, his mother calling warnings from behind. Normal Sunday morning chaos. Can I ask you something? Clara said eventually. Sure. What happened with your ex? You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but I'm curious. Ryan had known this question was coming. He'd been rehearsing answers in his head all week, trying to find the version that was honest without being bitter. We got married too young, he said carefully. High school sweethearts. Everyone said we were perfect together, so we believed it. Had Oliver right away. Spent our 20s trying to figure out how to be adults while raising a kid. He paused, watching the creek bubble over rocks. Amanda woke up one day and realized she'd never lived, never traveled, never explored who she was outside of being a wife and mom. She wanted out. Did you see it coming? In hindsight, yeah. She got quieter, more distant, started taking extra shifts at work, going out with friends more. I told myself it was normal, that all marriages had rough patches. Then she sat me down one night and said she couldn't do it anymore. How long ago? Divorce was final 14 months ago, but she'd been gone longer than that, emotionally. Ryan glanced at Clara. What about you? How did you end up solo with 2 kids? Clara's jaw tightened. Marcus was a mistake from the beginning, but I didn't want to admit it. We met at a bar, had this whirlwind romance that felt exciting. I got pregnant with Sophie 3 months in. He proposed, I said yes, thought love would fix everything. She laughed bitterly. Spoiler alert, it didn't. He stayed through Sophie's first year barely. When I got pregnant with Noah, he completely checked out. Left when Noah was 6 months old, and I haven't heard from him since. Does he pay child support? Supposed to. Court ordered it. I've seen maybe 3 payments in 4 years. She kicked a pebble on the path. I should go after him legally, but honestly, I'd rather he just stay gone. The money's not worth having him drift in and out of their lives. Ryan understood that calculation. Sometimes absence was better than inconsistency. They circled the park twice, talking about everything and nothing. Clara told him about Sophie's obsession with butterflies and Noah's tendency to take things apart to see how they worked. Ryan shared stories about Oliver's dinosaur phase and his current fixation on space exploration. He wants to be an astronaut, Ryan said. This week, anyway. Last month it was marine biologist. Before that, professional soccer player. Sophie wants to be an artist. She draws constantly. We have artwork covering every wall in the house. Noah? Noah wants to be Batman. I tried to explain that's not a real job, but he's not convinced. Ryan laughed, the sound surprising him. When had he last laughed like this? Easy and unguarded? They stopped at a coffee cart near the park entrance, ordered drinks, and found a bench overlooking the creek. The sun was climbing higher, warming the morning chill. Clara sat close enough that their shoulders touched. I have a confession, she said, wrapping both hands around her cup. Should I be worried? I Googled you. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Find anything interesting? Boring LinkedIn profile, a few tagged photos from your sister's wedding, marathon results from 2019. You're remarkably low profile for someone living in the digital age. I'm not much of a social media person. What about you? I have Facebook but barely use it, mostly pictures of the kids for my mom to obsess over. Can I see? Clara pulled out her phone, scrolled through photos. She showed him Sophie, serious brown eyes, dark curls, holding up a painting of a purple butterfly. Then Noah, blonde like his mother, gap-toothed grin, covered in mud. They're beautiful, Ryan said honestly. They're exhausting. But her voice was full of love. Sophie's so careful, so precise. She thinks everything through 10 times. Noah's the opposite, pure chaos. He broke his arm last year jumping off the couch because he thought he could fly. Oliver broke his wrist in second grade trying to skateboard down the stairs. Why do they do these things? Because they're fearless. Because they don't know better yet. Ryan looked at the photos again. When do I get to meet them? The question hung in the air. Clara's thumb hovered over her phone screen, frozen. I don't know, she said quietly. That's okay, no pressure. It's not that I don't want you to, it's just, once you meet them, it becomes real. It's not just us anymore. I understand. Do you? She turned to face him fully. Because I need you to really understand. If you meet them and then you leave, I'm not the only one who gets hurt. Sophie's already asked me twice this week why I'm smiling more. She's observant. She'll notice you. And Noah gets attached to people so easily. He still talks about my friend Rachel's boyfriend who came to one barbecue 2 years ago. Ryan set his coffee down, took Clara's free hand in both of his. I'm not going anywhere. I know you don't believe that yet. And that's fair. But I'm serious about this. About you. About figuring out what this could be. We've had 2 dates. I know. That's crazy, right? To be talking about meeting kids after 2 dates? Maybe, but everything about this feels different. Ryan squeezed her hand. I'm not asking to meet them tomorrow. I'm just asking you to consider it. When you're ready. When it feels right. Clara studied their joined hands. What about Oliver? Does he know about me? He knows I've been on dates with someone. He hasn't asked details, but he knows. And he's okay with it? He's the one who told me I should meet someone. Apparently I don't smile enough. That made Clara smile. Smart kid. The smartest. And Sophie and Noah sound pretty incredible too. They are. They're the best thing I ever did. Her voice cracked slightly. Which is why I'm so terrified of screwing this up. You're not going to screw it up. You don't know that. Neither do you. So maybe we just take it one day at a time, see what happens? Clara leaned her head against his shoulder. One day at a time. I can do that. They sat like that for a long time, watching the creek and the people and the ordinary magic of a Sunday morning. Ryan felt something settling in his chest, some piece clicking into place. This was what he'd been missing, not excitement, not passion, but this quiet comfort. The ability to sit in silence with someone and feel completely at peace. Eventually, they had to leave. Clara had to pick up the kids from her mother's, and Ryan had promised Oliver they'd go see the new superhero movie. They walked back to the parking lot slowly, neither wanting the morning to end. Same time next week? Clara asked at her car. I'm already counting the days. She kissed him then, quick and sweet, then pulled back with a grin. You're such a sap. You like it. Maybe I do. Ryan waited until she drove away before getting in his own car. His phone buzzed immediately. Julie, of course. How's date 2? Just finished. It was good. Just good? Really good. Great. Amazing. Is that what you want to hear? Yes. Details later. Oliver's asking about the movie. Tell him I'm on my way. Ryan drove home with the radio playing something cheerful, his mind replaying the morning. Clara's laugh, her hand in his, the way she'd rested her head on his shoulder like it belonged there. The fear in her voice when she talked about her kids, and the courage it took to even consider letting him in. He thought about what she'd said. Once you meet them, it becomes real. She was right. Meeting Sophie and Noah would change everything, would add weight and responsibility and risk. But Ryan had never been afraid of responsibility. He'd been raising Oliver alone for over a year. He knew about sacrifice and compromise and putting someone else first. What scared him was the possibility of failing, of becoming another person who left, another disappointment in Clara's history of abandonment. He couldn't do that to her, couldn't do that to those kids he'd only seen in photos, which meant he had to be sure, not in some magical, romantic way, but sure enough to show up when it was hard, sure enough to stay. The weeks that followed fell into a pattern. Every Friday, sometimes Saturday, Ryan and Clara found time together, coffee dates, dinner at quiet restaurants, walks through different neighborhoods. They talked about everything: childhood memories, career frustrations, parenting challenges, dreams they'd stopped admitting out loud. Clara told him about nursing school, working night shifts while pregnant with Sophie, the guilt of leaving her kids with babysitters. Ryan shared his fears about Oliver growing up without a stable family, about making enough money, about being enough on his own. I keep thinking I'm going to mess him up, Ryan admitted one night over Chinese takeout. Like, he's going to be in therapy in 20 years talking about how his dad tried his best but still screwed everything up. That's every parent, Clara said, stealing one of his dumplings. We're all just doing our best and hoping it's enough. Is it? Enough? I don't know. Ask me in 20 years. They laughed, but the fear was real. They were both so aware of their limitations, their capacity to hurt the people they loved most. December crept toward Christmas. Ryan took Oliver to pick out a tree, a scraggly thing from the lot down the street. They decorated it together, hanging ornaments Oliver had made in preschool alongside the ones from Ryan's childhood. Amanda called twice about Christmas plans, both times canceling at the last minute. Ryan watched Oliver's face shudder and felt murderous. It's okay, Dad, Oliver said, too mature for 8 years old. We'll have fun, just us. Damn right we will. But Ryan texted Clara that night. How do you do this? How do you watch them get hurt and not fall apart? Her response came 20 minutes later. You fall apart after they're asleep, in the shower usually, where they can't see. That's terrible advice. It's honest advice. How are Sophie and Noah with their dad being gone? Sophie doesn't remember him. Noah asks sometimes why he doesn't have a daddy. I tell him some families look different, but they're still full of love. Not sure he buys it. That's a good answer, though. It's a bullshit answer, but it's the best I've got. Ryan stared at his phone, imagining Clara in her own house, probably on her couch after her kids were asleep, probably exhausted. He wanted to drive over there, hold her, tell her she was doing an incredible job. But it was late, and they weren't there yet, weren't at the point where he could just show up. You're an amazing mom. Those kids are lucky. Thanks. I needed to hear that tonight. Anytime. 3 days before Christmas, Clara called him instead of texting. Ryan was wrapping presents in his bedroom, surrounded by torn paper and failed attempts at neat corners. Hey, he answered. Everything okay? Define okay. Clara's voice was strained. Sophie's got the flu, Noah decided to flush his toy cars down the toilet, and my mother just canceled on Christmas because my aunt needs surgery. I'm at my breaking point. What can I do? Nothing. I'm just venting, sorry. Don't apologize, vent all you want. He heard her exhale shakily. I just wanted to hear your voice. Is that pathetic? Not even a little bit. I miss you, which is insane because I saw you 3 days ago. Ryan's chest tightened. I miss you too. Tell me something good. Something normal and boring and good. So Ryan told her about Oliver's Christmas list, which included a telescope, a shark tooth, and a dog, but Dad says no. He told her about the time he tried to cook a turkey his first year alone and nearly burned down the kitchen. He told her stupid dad jokes until Clara was laughing, the tension bleeding from her voice. Thank you, she said finally. I needed that. Always. Ryan? Her voice got quiet. I think I'm ready. Ready for what? For you to meet them, Sophie and Noah. After the holidays, once we're all healthy and not insane. Would you want to? Ryan's heart started racing. Yes, absolutely yes. It's going to be chaotic. Noah will probably tell you every thought he's ever had, and Sophie will judge you silently from across the room. I can handle that. And if it's too much, if you realize this is more than you signed up for, I need you to tell me before they get attached. Can you promise me that? I promise, but Clara, I'm not going anywhere. You keep saying that, because I keep meaning it. After they hung up, Ryan sat on his bedroom floor surrounded by half-wrapped presents, feeling the weight of what they'd just agreed to. Meeting Sophie and Noah wasn't just a date anymore. It was a declaration. It was choosing to step into the complicated, messy reality of Clara's life. He should have been terrified. Instead, he felt ready. Christmas came and went quietly. Ryan and Oliver built a blanket fort, watched movies, ate pizza for dinner because Ryan's turkey attempt was not getting a repeat performance. Amanda sent a present, some generic toy that Oliver thanked her for politely on the phone, then never touched again. Clara texted photos of her Christmas, Sophie's artwork covering the tree, Noah wearing a superhero cape over his pajamas, pure chaos and joy captured in pixels. Ryan sent back photos of their blanket fort empire. I like your tree better, Clara wrote. Liar. Yours is beautiful. Yours has personality. Mine has damage control. Same thing. On New Year's Eve, they tried to coordinate schedules but couldn't make it work. Clara had the kids, Ryan had Oliver, neither had babysitters. So they texted through the evening instead, sharing updates about their respective celebrations. Noah just spilled an entire cup of grape juice on the carpet, Clara reported at 8 p.m. Oliver discovered he can burp the alphabet, Ryan countered. That's disgusting. That's 8-year-old boys. Noah will definitely learn this skill, and I blame you. At midnight, Ryan stood on his back porch in the freezing cold, listening to fireworks echo across the neighborhood. His phone rang, Clara calling instead of texting. Happy New Year, she said when he answered. Happy New Year. I'm hiding in my bathroom. The kids are finally asleep, and I just needed 60 seconds of quiet. Glamorous. Very. What are you doing? Standing outside in the cold for no good reason. Sounds equally glamorous. They were quiet for a moment, just breathing into their phones, connected across the distance. This year's going to be different, Clara said softly. I can feel it. Different how? Better, maybe. Scarier. More real. All of the above? Yeah, she paused. Next Saturday. Come over at 2. The kids will be up from naps, fed, hopefully in decent moods. We can just hang out. Low pressure. Saturday at 2. I'll be there. Ryan? Yeah? Thank you for being patient with me, for understanding why this is hard. You're worth the wait. After they hung up, Ryan stayed outside a while longer, watching his breath cloud in the frozen air. The new year stretched ahead, uncertain, full of possibility, terrifying and wonderful in equal measure. Somewhere across town, Clara was probably back on her couch, checking on her sleeping children, wondering if she was making a terrible mistake or the best decision of her life. Neither of them knew which it would be, but they were willing to find out together. Saturday came too fast and not fast enough. Ryan spent the week preparing like he was going to war, asking Julie for advice, Googling how to meet your girlfriend's kids, changing his outfit 7 times Saturday morning. You look fine, Oliver said, watching his father's fashion crisis from the doorway. Just wear your normal clothes. What if they don't like me? Then they have bad taste. Ryan laughed despite his nerves. Thanks, bud. Are you going to marry her? The question caught Ryan off guard. What? No, we've only been dating for like 6 weeks. But you like her a lot. I do, yeah. And she has kids like you have me. She does. Oliver was quiet for a moment, thinking. Would that make them my brother and sister? Step siblings, maybe, if things worked out that way. But we're nowhere near that conversation yet. Okay. Oliver seemed satisfied with that answer. But if you do marry her, I call dibs on the bigger bedroom. Noted. Ryan arrived at Clara's townhouse at exactly 2 p.m., holding a small bag of gifts he'd agonized over for days. A sketch pad and colored pencils for Sophie. A set of Matchbox cars for Noah to replace the ones he'd flushed. Nothing too expensive, nothing that screamed trying too hard, but thoughtful enough to show he'd listened. Clara answered the door in jeans and an old college sweatshirt, hair in a messy bun, looking nervous and beautiful. "Hey," she said. "Hey." "They're in the living room. Fair warning, Noah's been asking about you all morning. He's very excited." Sophie's suspicious. Of course she is. "Ready?" Ryan took a deep breath. "Ready." Clara led him inside. The townhouse was smaller than his, but warmer. Artwork on every wall, toys scattered across the floor, evidence of life fully lived. Photos covered the mantel above a fireplace that probably didn't work, chronicling Sophie and Noah's short lives. Two children sat on the couch, both staring at him with varying degrees of interest. Sophie, 6 years old, dark curls like her mother, serious brown eyes, watched him warily. Noah, 4, blonde and gap-toothed, bounced with barely contained energy. "Sophie, Noah, this is Ryan," Claire said, "the friend I told you about." "Hi," Ryan said, suddenly feeling like he was being interviewed for the world's most important job. "Are you Mommy's boyfriend?" Noah asked immediately. "Noah!" Clara's face went red. "It's okay," Ryan said, kneeling down to Noah's level. "Yeah, I guess I am. Do you like dinosaurs?" "I do. My son Oliver loves them." "You have a son?" Sophie spoke for the first time, her voice quiet but direct. "I do. He's 8. His name is Oliver." "Where is he?" "At home with his aunt. I wanted to meet you guys first." Sophie considered this, some calculation happening behind those serious eyes. "Why?" "Because you're important to your mom, which makes you important to me." It was the right answer. Sophie's expression softened slightly, though she still looked unconvinced. Noah, meanwhile, had lost interest in the conversation and spotted the bag in Ryan's hand. "What's that?" "Noah, don't be rude," Clara warned. "It's okay. I brought you guys something small. Just a nice-to-meet-you present." He pulled out the sketch pad and pencils, handed them to Sophie. Her eyes widened. "For me?" "Your mom said you like to draw." "I love to draw." She opened the pad carefully, running her fingers over the blank pages like they were treasure. "Thank you." "You're very welcome." Noah got his cars and immediately started racing them across the coffee table, complete with sound effects. Ryan sat on the floor with him, genuinely engaged, asking about each car's backstory and statistics. Clara watched from the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Ryan caught her eye and smiled. She smiled back, tentative but real. The afternoon unfolded naturally. Ryan didn't try to be anything other than himself, present, interested, genuine. He answered Sophie's careful questions about his job, his house, his son. He played cards with Noah until his knees hurt. He helped Clara make snacks in the kitchen while the kids watched a movie. "You're doing great," Clara whispered while cutting apple slices. "Yeah?" "Sophie hasn't told you to leave yet. That's basically her seal of approval. High praise." "I'm serious. She's tough to win over." Ryan glanced into the living room where Sophie sat cross-legged on the couch, already sketching in her new pad. Noah was sprawled on the floor, still racing his cars. Normal kid chaos. "They're wonderful," he said honestly. "They're a handful." "Best kind of handful." Clara bumped her shoulder against his. "Thank you for this. For trying." "I'm not trying. I'm just being here." "That's the same thing." They brought the snacks out. Noah immediately grabbed for the cookies, and Sophie reminded him to say please with the authority of a much older sister. Ryan found himself laughing, feeling the warmth of family in a way he hadn't since before his divorce. As the afternoon wore on, Noah climbed into Ryan's lap during the movie, completely unself-conscious. Ryan froze for a second, unsure, then wrapped an arm around the little boy's shoulders. Noah snuggled closer, thumb in his mouth, totally trusting. Clara's eyes were shining when Ryan looked over. She mouthed, "Thank you," and Ryan just shook his head. There was nothing to thank him for. This, all of this, was exactly where he wanted to be. When it was time to leave, Noah hugged his legs. "Can you come back?" "If your mom says it's okay." "Mom, can he come back?" Clara laughed. "We'll see, baby." Sophie offered Ryan her hand to shake, formal and solemn. It was nice to meet you. You too, Sophie. Thanks for showing me some of your drawings. Next time I'll show you my butterfly collection. I'd like that. Clara walked him to the door. Outside, the January evening was cold and clear, stars just starting to appear. So? Clara asked. Verdict? They're incredible. You've done an amazing job with them. You're not just saying that? I'm not just saying that. Ryan pulled her close, kissed her forehead. Same time next week? Actually, Clara bit her lip. What if you brought Oliver? Let them all meet. If that's not too much too fast. Ryan's heart swelled. You're sure? I'm terrified, but yeah, I'm sure. Then yes, absolutely yes. He drove home feeling lighter than air, texting Clara when he got there even though they'd just said goodbye. She sent back a photo of Noah already asleep on the couch, still clutching one of his new cars. He wore himself out showing off, she wrote. He's adorable. Sophie says you're acceptable. High praise indeed. She also says Oliver better like butterflies. I'll warn him. Ryan showed Oliver the text, watched his son's face light up. I'm going to meet them? Next Saturday, if you want to. Can I bring my dinosaur book to show them? Absolutely. And my telescope, in case Noah likes space? We'll bring whatever you want, champ. Oliver hugged him tight. I'm glad you found Clara, Dad. Me too, buddy. Me too. That night, after Oliver was asleep, Ryan sat on his back porch again, coffee in hand, thinking about the afternoon. About Noah's trust, Sophie's careful acceptance, the way Clara had looked at him when her son fell asleep in his arms. This was it. The moment where his separate life and Clara's started weaving together, threads tangling and connecting in ways that couldn't be easily undone. It should have terrified him. Instead, it felt like coming home. The week crawled by with the speed of continental drift. Oliver asked questions every single day. What should he wear? Should he bring presents too? Would Sophie and Noah think he was cool? What if they didn't like him? Ryan answered each one patiently while battling his own spiral of anxiety. What if this is a disaster? He asked Julie over the phone Wednesday night. Then it's a disaster and you deal with it, she said pragmatically. But it won't be. Kids are resilient. They'll either click or they won't, and you'll figure it out. That's not reassuring. I'm not here to reassure you. I'm here to tell you the truth. You're overthinking this. I'm absolutely overthinking this. So stop. Just show up and be present. That's literally all you can do. Ryan knew she was right, but knowing and believing were different countries. He lay awake Thursday night, imagining every possible scenario. Oliver and Noah fighting over toys, Sophie deciding she hated Oliver on sight, Clara realizing that blending their families was too complicated and calling the whole thing off. By Saturday morning, he was a wreck. Dad, you're making me nervous, Oliver said, watching Ryan check his watch for the 15th time. It's going to be fine. When did you become the mature one? Someone has to be. They arrived at Clara's at 2 o'clock exactly, Ryan carrying a box of pastries from the bakery Oliver had insisted on, and Oliver clutching his dinosaur encyclopedia like a shield. Clara opened the door wearing the smile Ryan had come to recognize as her brave face, the one she used when she was terrified but pushing through anyway. Hey, she said, then looked down at Oliver. You must be Oliver. I've heard so much about you. Hi. Oliver's voice was small, shy in a way Ryan rarely heard. I brought my book about dinosaurs. In case anyone wants to see it. Noah's gonna love that. Come in, both of you. The living room looked like a tornado had hit it. Toys everywhere, cushions pulled off the couch to build some kind of fort, Sophie's drawings covering the coffee table. Noah was on the floor in a Batman costume, and Sophie sat on the couch reading, her butterfly collection spread out beside her. Guys, this is Oliver, Clara announced. Ryan's son. Sophie looked up, studied Oliver with those serious eyes. Hi. Hi, Oliver said back. Noah scrambled to his feet, cape flying behind him. Do you like Batman? Batman's cool. I like Spider-Man better, though. Spider-Man's okay, but Batman has better gadgets. Spider-Man can climb walls. Batman has a car that's also a tank. Oliver considered this. That's pretty cool. And just like that, they were off. Noah grabbed Oliver's hand, dragging him toward the toy box, already launching into an animated explanation of his action figure collection. Oliver went willingly, clutching his dinosaur book, the shyness evaporating. Sophie remained on the couch, watching the chaos with the patience of someone twice her age. Ryan sat down next to her, leaving respectful distance. "Your mom told me about your butterfly collection," he said. "Do you want to see it?" "I'd love to." She showed him each specimen carefully. Pictures cut from magazines, drawings she'd made, facts she'd memorized. Her voice was quiet, but confident. The voice of someone who knew her subject inside and out. "This one's a monarch," she explained, pointing to a particularly detailed drawing. "They migrate thousands of miles. Nobody knows exactly how they find their way, but they do it every year." "That's amazing. I want to see real ones someday, not just in books." "There's a butterfly pavilion in Denver," Ryan said. "I took Oliver once. They have hundreds of butterflies flying around, and they land on you sometimes." Sophie's eyes widened. "Really? Really? Maybe we could all go together sometime, if you want." She looked at him carefully, weighing the offer for sincerity. "Okay, I'd like that." Clara appeared in the doorway carrying juice boxes, her expression soft as she watched Sophie and Ryan talk. She caught Ryan's eye and mouthed, "Thank you," again. He just smiled. The afternoon unfolded with surprising ease. The kids gravitated together naturally. Noah and Oliver built elaborate scenarios with action figures, complete with sound effects and dramatic narration. Sophie showed Oliver her drawings, and he showed her his dinosaur book, pointing out his favorites. There were moments of friction. Noah wanted to play chase, and Oliver wanted to keep looking at pictures. Sophie needed the bathroom exactly when Noah did, but nothing catastrophic. Clara and Ryan stayed close but not hovering, letting the kids figure out their own dynamic. They made sandwiches together in the kitchen, standing hip to hip at the counter, the domestic intimacy of it feeling both strange and right. "This is going better than I expected," Clara admitted, cutting crusts off bread. "You sound surprised." "I'm always surprised when things go well. Habit. Maybe it's time to break that habit." She bumped her shoulder against his. "Maybe." They ate lunch at the table, 5 people crowded around furniture meant for 4, elbows knocking, conversation overlapping. Noah spilled his juice within the first 3 minutes. Sophie corrected Oliver's dinosaur facts with the authority of someone who'd clearly done her research, and Oliver retaliated by challenging her butterfly knowledge. "The monarch migration ends in Mexico," Sophie said. "Actually, some of them go to California instead," Oliver countered. Sophie frowned. "Are you sure?" "Pretty sure. We learned about it in school." "Huh." She filed this information away, already planning to verify it later. "I'll look it up." "We could look it up together," Oliver suggested. "If you want." Sophie's face transformed with something that might have been the beginning of a smile. "Okay." Claire's hand found Ryan's under the table, squeezing. He squeezed back, the silent communication of people who understood what they were witnessing, the tentative start of something that could become real connection. After lunch, Noah insisted everyone play superheroes. He assigned roles with the confidence of a 4-year-old director. He was Batman, obviously. Oliver could be Robin, Sophie was Wonder Woman, Clara was Black Widow, and Ryan was Iron Man. "I don't know anything about Iron Man," Ryan protested. "He's rich and smart and has a robot suit," Noah explained with exaggerated patience. "Just pretend." So they played superheroes. Ryan chased Noah around the living room while the boys shrieked with laughter. Oliver and Sophie worked together to defeat the villain, a stuffed bear Noah had designated as evil. Clara took pictures on her phone, capturing moments that would look absurd to outsiders, but meant everything to the people living them. At one point, Ryan ended up on the floor with all 3 kids piled on top of him, everyone laughing, and he caught Clara's eye across the chaos. She was crying, happy tears, overwhelmed tears, thank you tears. He understood completely. Eventually, the energy peaked and crashed. Noah fell asleep on the couch, still in his Batman costume, thumb in his mouth. Sophie and Oliver sat side by side, looking at butterfly pictures on Clara's laptop. Their earlier competitiveness transformed into collaborative curiosity. Clara and Ryan retreated to the kitchen for coffee, watching the kids through the doorway. "That was good, right?" Clara asked, needing confirmation. "I'm not imagining it?" "That was really good." "Sophie likes him. She doesn't like most people." "Oliver likes her too, and Noah's hilarious." Noah's exhausting. In the best way. Clara leaned against the counter, coffee cup cradled in both hands. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, for something to go wrong. What if nothing goes wrong? That feels impossible. Ryan set his coffee down, took hers and set it aside too, then pulled her close. She came willingly, tucking her head under his chin, breathing him in. I know you're scared, he said quietly. I'm scared too. This is big and complicated and there's a lot that could go wrong. But look at them. He gestured toward the living room where Oliver was explaining something to Sophie with animated hand gestures. They're figuring it out. Maybe we can too. You make it sound easy. It's not easy, but it's worth trying. Clara pulled back enough to look at him. When did you get so wise? I'm not wise. I'm just tired of being afraid. Me too, she whispered. They stood like that for a long moment, holding each other in her cramped kitchen while their children existed in the next room, separate but beginning to weave together into something new. The afternoon stretched into evening. Ryan and Oliver should have left hours ago, but nobody wanted to break the spell. They ordered pizza, let the kids eat in front of a movie, existed in the comfortable chaos of too many people in too small a space. Sophie fell asleep against Oliver's shoulder during the movie, and Oliver stayed very still, afraid to wake her. Noah woke up from his couch nap, cranky and demanding, crawling into Clara's lap for cuddles. Ryan sat on the floor, leaning against the couch, feeling the weight of the day settle into his bones. This was what he'd been missing. Not romance, not passion, but this. The ordinary magic of family. The mess and noise and friction and love all tangled together. When they finally had to leave, Noah cried, actual tears streaming down his face, reaching for Oliver like he was abandoning him forever. I don't want him to go, Noah sobbed. He'll come back, Clara promised, shooting Ryan an apologetic look. Really? Noah turned to Oliver. You'll come back? Yeah, Oliver said, looking pleased and embarrassed. If my dad says it's okay, please come back. I will. I promise. Sophie hugged Oliver goodbye, a quick, awkward embrace that meant everything coming from a 6-year-old who didn't give affection freely. You were right about the California monarchs, she admitted. I looked it up. You can tell me more about the Mexico ones next time, Oliver offered. Okay, deal. Clara walked them to the door, Noah attached to her hip, still sniffling. I'm sorry about the meltdown, she said quietly. Don't be. It's sweet. It's exhausting. It's both. Ryan kissed her quickly, conscious of small eyes watching. Same time next week? Are you sure? This is a lot. I'm sure. In the car, Oliver was quiet until they'd driven several blocks. Then, Dad? Yeah, bud? I really like them. I'm glad. Sophie's super smart and Noah's funny and Claire's nice. They're all those things. Do you think... Oliver trailed off, choosing his words carefully. Do you think maybe they could be our family, like, for real? Ryan's throat tightened. Would you want that? Yeah, I mean, if Clara wants to, and if Sophie and Noah want to, but yeah, I'd like that. It's still early, Oliver. We're still figuring things out. I know, but if it worked out that way, I wouldn't be mad. Noted. They drove in comfortable silence. Ryan's phone buzzed at a red light, a text from Clara with a photo attached. Noah and Sophie on the couch, both asleep, Sophie still clutching Oliver's dinosaur book. The message read, Thank you for today, for everything. We haven't stopped talking about Oliver. Ryan showed the photo to Oliver, who grinned. Can I text her? You want to text Clara? I want to text Sophie to tell her about the butterfly thing I forgot to mention. Ryan's heart did something complicated in his chest. Yeah, buddy, you can text Sophie. He helped Oliver compose a careful message about monarch butterflies and migration patterns, watching his son's face scrunch up in concentration. When Sophie texted back 10 minutes later, a simple, cool thanks, Oliver's smile could have powered a city. That night, Ryan lay in bed replaying the day. The good parts, the hard parts, the moments when he'd felt overwhelmed and the moments when everything clicked. He thought about Noah's tears and Sophie's careful trust and Oliver's easy acceptance. He thought about Clara's fear and his own and the courage it took to keep trying anyway. His phone lit up with another message from Clara. I can't stop thinking about today. Me neither, he typed back, I'm terrified I'm going to screw this up. Join the club. But I'm also really happy. Is that allowed? To be terrified and happy at the same time. I think that's how you know it matters. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared several times before her next message came through. I think I'm falling for you. Is that crazy after 2 months? Ryan stared at the words, heart pounding. He could play it safe, deflect with humor, pretend he didn't feel the same terrifying, wonderful thing. Or he could be honest. Not crazy, he wrote. I'm falling for you too. Yeah? Yeah. You and your chaos and your amazing kids, all of it. Even Noah's meltdowns, especially those, they mean he cares. You're really not scared off? I'm absolutely scared. I'm also not going anywhere. There was a long pause before her response. I want to believe that. Then believe it. I'll keep showing up until you do. Okay. Deal. Good night, Clara. Good night, Ryan. Thank you for today. For meeting them where they are. Always. The weeks that followed established a new rhythm. Every Saturday, sometimes Sunday, the 5 of them spent time together. Sometimes at Clara's place, sometimes at Ryan's. Once at a park where the kids ran themselves ragged and the adults sat on a bench drinking coffee and pretending to supervise. Oliver and Sophie developed their own friendship, bonding over shared interests in science and nature. They had long, serious conversations about topics that went over Ryan's head, trading facts like currency. Noah attached himself to Oliver like a barnacle, following him everywhere, mimicking everything he did. He's never had a big brother, Claire explained one afternoon, watching Noah shadow Oliver around the backyard. He doesn't know how to be anything but all in. Oliver loves it, Ryan said. He's always wanted siblings. Even when Noah's being annoying, especially then, that's what little brothers are for. The kids fought sometimes, arguments about toys, about whose turn it was, about the correct way to build a pillow fort. But they figured it out, developing their own system of conflict resolution that mostly involved Sophie acting as mediator while Noah and Oliver argued their cases. Ryan and Clara navigated their own complications. Scheduling was a nightmare. Between work schedules and custody arrangements and simple exhaustion, finding time alone together was nearly impossible. They stole moments when they could, quick kisses in the kitchen while the kids were distracted, late-night phone calls after bedtime, text messages throughout the day. I miss you, Clara said one Friday evening when they'd managed a quick coffee date, kids with babysitters. Is that weird? You're here right now and I already miss you. Not weird. I feel the same way. I miss the early days, when it was just us. No responsibilities, no schedules to coordinate. You want to go back? No, God, no. She reached across the table, took his hand. I love what we're building. I just wish we had more time for this. For us. We'll figure it out. Will we? Because honestly, Ryan, I don't know how this works long term. You have Oliver, I have Sophie, and Noah. We live in different houses. I work night shifts. You work days. When do we ever just exist together? It was a fair question, one Ryan had been avoiding thinking about too hard. What are you saying? I'm saying I don't know what the next step is. I'm saying I want more, but I don't know how to make that happen without disrupting everyone's lives. What do you want the next step to be? Clara was quiet for a long time, staring into her coffee cup like it held answers. When she finally looked up, her eyes were bright with unshed tears. I want to wake up with you. I want the kids to have breakfast together every morning, not just Saturdays. I want to stop feeling like we're visiting each other's lives instead of sharing one. Ryan's heart was pounding. Are you talking about moving in together? Maybe? I don't know. Is that crazy? We've only been dating for 3 months. It's fast. Too fast? He thought about it honestly, thought about his empty townhouse and Clara's cramped one, thought about Oliver asking when they could all live together, thought about waking up next to Clara every morning instead of just in his imagination. I don't think there's a right timeline, he said slowly. I think there's just what works for us. And if this works, if combining our lives makes sense, then maybe it doesn't matter that it's been 3 months instead of a year. You're not freaked out? I'm terrified, but I'm also excited. And I think, he paused, making sure of his words. I think the kids would be okay with it. More than okay. Clara's tears spilled over. God, I love you. Is it too soon to say that? I feel like I'm breaking all the rules. I love you too, Ryan said, and saying it felt like jumping off a cliff. I've loved you since you dropped your dentist's business card in that coffee shop. She laughed through her tears. That's such a lie. Okay, maybe not that exact moment, but soon after, when you were brave enough to be honest about being scared. I'm still scared. Me too. But let's be scared together. They talked for 2 hours, sketching out possibilities. Not making concrete plans yet, just exploring what it could look like. Whose house, or should they find a new place together? How to handle bedrooms, schools, routines. What about Amanda? Would she fight the arrangement? What if the kids hated it? We should ask them, Clara said finally. The kids. Before we make any real decisions, they should have a say. Agreed. This weekend? This weekend. Saturday arrived with unusual weight. Ryan and Oliver showed up at Clara's as planned, but instead of the usual chaos, Clara had the kids sit down for what she called a family meeting. Sophie looked suspicious immediately. What's wrong? She asked. Nothing's wrong, Clara assured her. We just want to talk to you guys about something, all of us together. The 5 of them squeezed onto the couch, Noah in Clara's lap, Sophie pressed against her side, Oliver next to Ryan. It should have felt cramped. Instead, it felt right. So, Clara started, then looked at Ryan for help. He picked up the thread. You guys know that Clara and I care about each other a lot, and we all really like spending time together. Are you getting married? Sophie asked bluntly. Not right now, Clara said, but we've been talking about what it would be like if we all lived together, as a family. 3 sets of eyes went wide. Noah recovered first, bouncing in Clara's lap. All of us? In the same house? Maybe, Ryan said, but only if everyone wants to. This has to work for all of us. Oliver was quiet, processing. Sophie's face was unreadable. Noah just kept bouncing. Would I have to share a room? Sophie asked. Probably not, Claire said. We'd need to find a bigger place, somewhere with enough bedrooms for everyone. What about my school? We'd try to stay in the same district so you wouldn't have to change schools. Sophie thought about this. Would we still see Grandma? Of course. Nothing about that would change. What about Mom? Oliver asked quietly, looking at Ryan. You'd still see her every other week, same as now, Ryan promised. This doesn't change that. Oliver nodded slowly. Then, could I have a little brother? Ryan's chest tightened. You'd have Noah, and Sophie would be your sister. Cool, Oliver grinned at Noah. We could share my toys. I could show you my Batman collection, Noah said excitedly. Sophie was still quiet, her face serious. Clara stroked her hair. What are you thinking, sweetheart? Would Ryan be our dad? The question hung in the air, heavy with implication. Ryan looked at Clara, silently asking permission to answer. I know I'm not your biological father, Ryan said carefully, and I'm not trying to replace anyone. But I would love to be a dad to you and Noah, if you'd let me. What does that mean exactly? Sophie asked, needing specifics. It means I'd help take care of you, make you breakfast, help with homework, come to your school events, be there when you need someone. Like a real dad? Like a real dad. Sophie studied him for a long moment. Then very quietly, our real dad left. What if you leave too? Clara's face crumpled, but Ryan leaned forward, meeting Sophie's eyes directly. Sophie, I promise you, I'm not leaving. I know you've heard that before and it wasn't true, but I mean it. I love your mom, and I love you and Noah. That's not going away. How do you know? Because I've been where you are. My wife, Oliver's mom, left us. I know what it feels like when someone you love walks away, and I swore to myself I would never do that to anyone, especially not to kids. Sophie's eyes were wet. Promise? I promise. And if I ever break that promise, you have full permission to remind me of this conversation and tell me I'm wrong. A small smile tugged at Sophie's mouth. Okay, I'd like that. Living together, I mean. Noah cheered. Oliver looked pleased. Claire was crying again, the happy, overwhelmed kind. So we're really doing this? She asked Ryan. If the kids are in, I'm in. When? Noah demanded. Can we move tomorrow? Clara laughed. Not tomorrow, baby. We need to find a house first and pack. And there's a lot of grown-up stuff we need to figure out. But soon? As soon as we can. The rest of the afternoon was spent in excited planning. the kids listing everything they wanted in their new house. A backyard, a dog which both parents vetoed immediately, rooms big enough for all their stuff. Ryan and Clara exchanged looks over their heads, the reality of what they'd just committed to settling in. That night, after Oliver was asleep, Ryan sat on his back porch with a beer, processing. His phone rang. Clara. "Hey," he answered. "We just told our kids we're moving in together." "We did." "That's insane, right? Completely insane." "But also right?" "Also right." Clara sighed, the sound crackling through the phone. "I'm so scared, Ryan." "I know, me too." "What if we're making a huge mistake?" "Then we'll figure it out together, like we figure out everything else." "You sound so confident." "I'm faking it extremely well." She laughed, and he could picture her smile. "I love you." "I love you too." "We've got this, Clara, all 5 of us." "All 5 of us," she repeated, like testing out the words. "That's a lot of people." "Best kind of a lot." They talked until Clara's voice got sleepy, until she was yawning between sentences. Ryan didn't want to hang up, wanted to keep this connection open, this proof that she was real, and this was happening. "Good night," Clara finally whispered. "Good night. Dream of houses with big backyards. And no dogs. Definitely no dogs." After they hung up, Ryan stayed outside a while longer, looking at the stars and thinking about the future. 3 months ago, he'd been a single dad going through motions, existing but not living. Now he was planning to combine households with the woman he loved and her 2 kids who'd somehow become his too. It was terrifying and wonderful and completely insane. It was also exactly what he wanted. Inside, Oliver's soft breathing drifted from his bedroom, peaceful and trusting. Soon that sound would be joined by Sophie's and Noah's, a symphony of sleeping children under one roof. Ryan couldn't wait. House hunting with 3 children turned out to be exactly as chaotic as Ryan had feared, and somehow worse. Every weekend for a month, they piled into Ryan's SUV, the only vehicle that could fit all 5 of them, and drove to open houses across Colorado Springs, each one promising to be the one, and each one falling short in spectacular ways. The first house had the perfect backyard, but only 3 bedrooms. The second had 4 bedrooms, but was in a neighborhood with terrible schools. The third seemed ideal until Noah discovered a spider in the basement and refused to go back inside, screaming at a pitch that made the realtor wince. "I don't like spiders," Noah announced from the safety of the driveway, arms crossed. "It was tiny," Sophie said with the exasperation of an older sister, "like the size of a penny." "It was huge. It was a monster." "You're being dramatic." "You didn't see it." Clara rubbed her temples, the beginning of a headache forming. "We're not buying a house based on one spider, Noah." "But what if there's more?" "Then we call an exterminator," Ryan said reasonably. "Every house has bugs sometimes." Oliver, ever the diplomat, crouched down to Noah's level. "Want to know a secret? I'm scared of spiders too, but my dad taught me that most of them are actually helpful. They eat the bad bugs." Noah considered this. "Really?" "Really. And if you ever see one and you're scared, you can call me. I'll help you deal with it." The trust in Noah's face was absolute. "Okay, but I still don't want to live here." They crossed that house off the list. By the 4th weekend, everyone was getting irritable. Clara had picked up extra shifts at the hospital to save for the down payment, which meant she was exhausted. Ryan was buried in logistics work, trying to coordinate a major shipment while also fielding calls from realtors. The kids were tired of looking at houses that weren't theirs yet. "Why can't we just live in your house, Dad?" Oliver asked during one particularly frustrating day. "Because it only has 2 bedrooms, buddy. We need at least 4. "What about Clara's house?" "Same problem." "This is stupid." Clara shot Ryan a look that said she agreed but couldn't say it out loud. They were sitting in her living room surrounded by real estate listings, the kids playing in the next room with decreasing levels of cooperation. "Maybe we're rushing this," Clara said quietly. Ryan's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "I mean, maybe we should wait. Keep dating, see how things go. The kids are adjusting fine to seeing each other on weekends." "You want to stop looking?" "I want to stop feeling like we're forcing something that isn't ready yet." She gestured at the papers spread across the coffee table. "We haven't found anything in a month. Maybe that's a sign." Or maybe it's just a competitive housing market. Ryan, are you getting cold feet? Claire's eyes flashed. Don't do that. Don't make this about me being scared when I'm trying to be practical. Practical feels a lot like backing out. Because maybe I am. The words came out louder than she intended. In the next room, the kids went quiet. Clara lowered her voice. Maybe I'm looking at our bank accounts and the cost of these houses and thinking about how we'd make it work, and I'm panicking. Is that allowed? Am I allowed to panic? Ryan took a breath, forcing himself to calm down. Of course you're allowed to panic. I'm panicking too. You don't seem like it. I'm just better at hiding it. He reached for her hand. Talk to me. What's really going on? Claire's eyes filled with tears. I'm terrified that we're going to find this perfect house and move in together and then realize we've made a horrible mistake. And by then the kids will be settled and attached, and breaking up won't just hurt us, it'll destroy them. So we don't break up. You can't promise that. I can promise that I'm going to try my hardest not to. That's not enough, Clara said, pulling her hand away. I need guarantees, Ryan. I need to know that this is going to work. Nobody gets guarantees. That's not how life works. Then maybe I'm not ready for this. The silence that followed felt like falling. Ryan stared at her, trying to find the right words, the magic combination that would fix this. But sometimes there were no right words. Okay, he said finally. What do you want to do? I don't know. Clara wiped her eyes. I just need to breathe, to think, to not feel like we're on this runaway train that I can't stop. So we stop, we slow down, we figure it out. Just like that? Just like that? Clara looked at him like she didn't quite believe him. You're not mad? I'm disappointed, but I'm not mad. If you need time, we'll take time. They sat in uncomfortable silence, the sound of the kids playing drifting from the other room, Noah's high-pitched laughter, Sophie's patient explaining, Oliver's easy participation, the life they'd been building, still happening in the next room, unaware of the conversation happening out here. I don't want to lose this, Clara whispered. What we have. The kids together. You. You're not going to lose it. How do you know? Because I'm not giving up on us, on any of us. So we stopped looking at houses for a while. So what? We keep doing what we've been doing. Weekends together, building this slowly. There's no deadline. What about the kids? They're going to ask why we stopped looking. So we tell them the truth. That we need to be patient, find the right place. They'll understand. Clara leaned against him, exhausted. I'm sorry. Don't be. This is big and scary and complicated. You're allowed to feel overwhelmed. Are you overwhelmed? Terrified, actually, but also sure, which is a weird combination. How are you sure when I'm not? Ryan thought about it, trying to articulate something he felt more than understood. Because I've already lost love once. I know what it feels like to watch something die slowly, to ignore all the warning signs until it's too late. This doesn't feel like that. This feels alive. Hard, but alive. What if I ruin it by being too scared? You won't. And if you do, we'll figure that out too. They stayed like that for a while, Clara's head on Ryan's shoulder, both of them staring at real estate listings they weren't going to pursue. Eventually, Sophie appeared in the doorway. Are you guys okay? She asked, her serious eyes taking in their somber mood. We're fine, sweetheart, Clara said, forcing brightness into her voice. Just tired. Are we still getting a house? Clara and Ryan exchanged glances. We're going to take a break from looking for a little while, Ryan said. But yeah, eventually, when we find the right one. Sophie studied them both, processing this information with her usual careful consideration. Okay, can we have pizza for dinner? Sure, baby. After Sophie left, Clara let out a shaky breath. That was easier than I expected. Kids are resilient. I hope so. The next few weeks were strange. They maintained their weekend routine, Saturdays together, sometimes Sundays, but the future they'd been building toward felt hazier. Clara was distant sometimes, lost in thought. Ryan tried to be patient but found himself lying awake at night, worrying. Oliver noticed the shift. Did you and Clara have a fight? He asked one evening while they were making dinner. Not a fight exactly, just a disagreement about timing. Are you still together? Yes. We're just taking things slower. Oliver stirred the pasta sauce with exaggerated focus. Mom took things slow and then she left. The comparison hit Ryan in the chest. This isn't like that. How do you know? Because Clara and I talk about things. We're being honest about what we need. But what if what she needs is to not be with us? Ryan turned off the stove, gave Oliver his full attention. Is that what you're worried about? Oliver shrugged, trying to appear nonchalant and failing. Sophie and Noah are cool. I like having them around. I don't want to go back to just us. I don't either, bud. But sometimes growing a family takes longer than we want. That doesn't mean it's not happening. Mom always said things and then didn't mean them. I know. But Clara's not Mom. She's trying to make sure when she commits to something she can follow through. That's actually a good thing. Oliver looked unconvinced, but nodded. They finished making dinner in silence, the conversation sitting heavy between them. That weekend, Clara's car battery died in the hospital parking lot. It was 11 p.m. She'd just finished a brutal shift, and she was too exhausted to deal with it. She called Ryan without thinking, voice breaking. I'm sorry. I know it's late. I just didn't know who else to call. Don't apologize. I'll be there in 20 minutes. But Ryan left Oliver with a very disgruntled Julie. It's almost midnight. You're lucky I love you. And drove to Memorial Regional. He found Clara in the parking lot, sitting on the hood of her Honda, looking defeated. Hey, he said gently. Hey, thank you for coming. Always. He popped her hood, checked the battery with jumper cables from his trunk. When's the last time you replaced this? I don't know, 3 years ago? 4? It's dead, completely dead. We can try to jump it, but you're going to need a new one. Clara's face crumpled. Of course I do, because nothing can just be simple. Ryan closed the hood, sat next to her on the car. Rough shift? We lost a patient. 6-year-old girl, car accident. We did everything we could, but... She trailed off, wiping her eyes. I hate this job sometimes. I hate watching parents lose their kids. I'm sorry. And then I come out here and my stupid car won't start. And I'm just so tired, Ryan. I'm so tired of everything being hard. He put his arm around her shoulders, pulled her close. I know. Do you? Because sometimes I feel like I'm drowning and everyone else is swimming just fine. Everyone else is faking it too. We're all barely keeping our heads above water. Clara laughed without humor. That's bleak, but true. They sat in the quiet parking lot, Ryan's truck idling nearby for the lights, the hospital glowing behind them. Clara leaned her head on his shoulder, the same way she had on their second date at the park. I've been thinking, she said quietly. About? About us. About what I said last month. About needing time. Ryan's heart started pounding, but he kept his voice calm. And? I think I was making excuses. Because being scared is easier than being brave. You're allowed to be scared. I know, but I don't want to let fear make my decisions anymore. She sat up, turned to face him. You showed up tonight, at midnight, without hesitation, because I needed you. Of course I did. That's my point. You always show up. For me, for the kids, even when it's inconvenient or hard, and I keep waiting for you to stop, but you don't. I'm not going to. I'm starting to believe that. She took his hand, lacing their fingers together. I want to start looking at houses again, for real this time. Not just looking, but actually committing to finding one. Relief washed over Ryan so intensely he felt dizzy. Yeah? Yeah, if you still want to, if I didn't mess everything up by panicking. You didn't mess anything up, and yes, I still want to, so much. They kissed there in the parking lot, urgent and desperate, making up for weeks of careful distance. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. I love you, Clara said. Even when I'm scared, especially when I'm scared. I love you too, dead car battery and all. She laughed, the sound genuine this time. Can you give me a jump? I can do you one better. I'll come back tomorrow morning and replace the battery before your next shift. You don't have to do that. I know, I want to. Clara's eyes filled with tears again, but happy ones this time. How did I get so lucky? Pretty sure I'm the lucky one. Ryan followed her home to make sure she got there safely, then drove back to his place where Julie was asleep on his couch. He woke her gently. Everything okay? she mumbled. Yeah, really okay, actually. Good. Now, let me sleep. You're on my couch. Your problem, not mine. Ryan laughed quietly, grabbing a blanket to throw over her. He checked on Oliver, fast asleep, dinosaur book still open on his chest, then lay in his own bed, mind racing with possibility. Tomorrow, he'd replace Clara's battery. This weekend, they'd start looking at houses again, for real this time. They'd find the right one eventually. They'd build the life they'd been planning, just on a slightly different timeline. The next morning, Ryan showed up at Clara's at 7 a.m. with a new battery and his tools. Clara answered the door in scrubs, coffee in hand, looking surprised. I thought you were kidding. Never about car batteries. She kissed him, quick but sweet. The kids are still asleep. Want coffee while you work? Please. Ryan installed the battery while Clara got ready for her shift. When he finished, she walked him to his truck, the morning cold but clear. Thank you, she said, for last night, for this morning, for being patient with me. That's what partners do. Is that what we are? Partners? I hope so. Me too. She glanced at her watch. I have to go, but this weekend, can we look at that house in Briargate? The one with 4 bedrooms and the big backyard? Already called the realtor. We have an appointment Saturday at 2. Clara's smile was radiant. You're amazing. I'm thorough. That too. She kissed him again, longer this time, before rushing to her car. Ryan watched her drive away, battery working perfectly, then headed home to get Oliver ready for school. Did you fix Clara's car? Oliver asked over breakfast. I did. Are we looking at houses again? We are. Oliver's face lit up. Really? Really? Does that mean it means we're trying again, seriously this time? Good. Oliver took a bite of cereal, trying to appear casual. Because I already told Sophie we'd be neighbors soon and I didn't want to be a liar. Ryan laughed. When did you tell her that? Last week. We text sometimes. You and Sophie text? Yeah, about butterflies and dinosaurs and stuff. Is that weird? Not weird, sweet, actually. She says Noah asks about me every day. Ryan's chest felt full. These kids who'd been strangers 4 months ago, now woven into each other's lives so completely that separation would leave holes. The responsibility of that was enormous, but so was the gift. Saturday's showing went better than expected. The house in Briargate was a sprawling ranch style with 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and a backyard that made the kids gasp with excitement. There was a swing set left by the previous owners and enough space for a garden. Can we get a dog now? Noah asked immediately. No, both parents said in unison. Sophie walked through each room methodically, inspecting closets and testing light switches. Oliver claimed a bedroom with a view of the mountains. Noah wanted the one next to Oliver's. Sophie chose the quietest room at the end of the hall. Ryan and Clara stood in the master bedroom, looking out at the backyard where the kids were already planning their kingdom. This is it, Clara said softly. Isn't it? I think so. It's in our budget. The neighborhood is good, schools are great, the kids love it. But? No but. I'm just trying to remember to breathe. Ryan pulled her close. We can do this. We can do this, she repeated like a mantra. They made an offer that afternoon. The seller countered. They countered back. 3 days of negotiation that left both of them stressed and snapping at small things. But finally, on a Tuesday evening, the realtor called. They accepted, she said, barely containing her excitement. Congratulations, you're buying a house. Ryan and Clara sat in stunned silence after hanging up. Then Clara started crying and Ryan started laughing, and they held each other in Clara's cramped living room while the future became real. We're actually doing this, Clara said through tears. We're actually doing this. I'm so scared. Me too. But also excited? Terrified and excited, the best combination. They told the kids that weekend. All 5 of them squeezed onto Clara's couch again. The explosion of excitement was immediate and deafening. Noah bounced so hard he fell off the couch. Sophie smiled, actually smiled, a rare full smile. Oliver hugged Ryan so tight it hurt. When do we move? Noah demanded. Not for a few weeks, Ryan said. We have to do inspections and paperwork and pack everything. Can I paint my room blue? We'll see. That means yes, right, Mom? Clara laughed. That means we'll talk about it. I want yellow, Sophie announced, for butterflies. We can do that. Oliver was quiet, processing. Dad? Is this real? Like really happening? Really happening, bud. Okay, good. He paused. Can I tell Mom? The question was complicated. Amanda had been increasingly distant, missing more scheduled visits, calling less frequently. Ryan had been dreading telling her about the move, about Clara, about the new life he was building. Yeah, Ryan said. You can tell her. That conversation happened the following Tuesday during one of Amanda's rare phone calls. Ryan heard Oliver's excited voice from the kitchen. We're getting a house with Clara and Sophie and Noah. It's going to have a huge backyard, followed by silence. Then Oliver appeared in the doorway, phone in hand, face carefully neutral. Mom wants to talk to you. Ryan took the phone, his stomach nodding. Hey, Amanda. You're moving in with your girlfriend. Her voice was sharp. You've known her for what, 4 months? 5 months, and yes. With her kids? Ryan, what are you thinking? I'm thinking I'm building a life, something stable for Oliver. By shacking up with some random woman? Ryan's jaw tightened. She's not random, and we're not shacking up. We're creating a family. Oliver already has a family. You're right. He has you, and he has me. And now he'll also have Clara and Sophie and Noah. More people who love him. How is that a bad thing? Amanda was quiet for a long moment. I just don't want him getting hurt when this doesn't work out. It's going to work out. You can't know that. No, I can't, but I'm going to try my hardest to make sure it does, which is more than I can say for some people. The dig was petty, and Ryan regretted it immediately. Amanda's sharp intake of breath cut through the phone. I'm still his mother, she said coldly. Then act like it. Show up when you say you will. Call when you promise to. Be present in his life. I'm doing the best I can. So am I. And part of that is giving him a stable home with people who want to be there. They ended the call tersely, neither satisfied. Ryan handed the phone back to Oliver, who'd been listening from the doorway. Is Mom mad? Oliver asked. She's surprised. She'll get used to it. She said I could come stay with her for spring break. If I wanted. Ryan's heart sank. Do you want to? Oliver shrugged. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to miss time with Sophie and Noah. They'll still be here when you get back. But what if they forget about me? Oliver. Ryan crouched down to his level. Nobody's forgetting about you. You're part of this family now. Whether you're here or with your mom, that doesn't change. Promise? Promise. But the conversation left Ryan unsettled. He called Clara that night, needing to hear her voice. Amanda knows, he said when she answered. How'd she take it? About as well as expected. Accused me of rushing into things. Said I'm going to hurt Oliver. Are you worried she's right? No, but I'm worried she's going to make this difficult, try to use it against me somehow. Clara was quiet for a moment. We can't control what she does. We can only control what we do. And what we're doing is good, Ryan. It's right. I know. I just wish... Wish what? I wish everything could just be simple for once. If it were simple, it wouldn't be worth it. Ryan laughed despite himself. When did you get so wise? Around the same time I fell in love with a logistics coordinator who fixes car batteries at midnight. Best decision you ever made. Second best. The first was saying yes to dinner 5 months ago. They talked until Clara's voice got sleepy, until the worry in Ryan's chest loosened enough to breathe. After they hung up, he sat in his quiet house, thinking about all the moving pieces. Amanda's resentment, the kids' adjustment, the logistics of combining households, the million things that could go wrong, but also all the things that could go right. In 3 weeks, they'd close on the house. In 4, they'd move in. 2 families becoming one, messy and complicated and beautiful. Ryan Bennett had learned to carry silence, to exist in the careful space of safety and routine. But he was learning something new now, how to carry hope, how to build something real from broken pieces, how to love with eyes wide open, knowing the risks, choosing it anyway. In her townhouse across town, Clara Hayes was having similar thoughts. Checking on Sophie and Noah, both sleeping peacefully. both dreaming of blue bedrooms and yellow walls and a backyard big enough for adventures. She thought about Ryan showing up in the middle of the night, about the way he'd stayed patient through her panic, about the future they were building one decision at a time. It was terrifying. It was wonderful. It was exactly what she'd been too afraid to hope for. And in just a few weeks, it would be home. The 3 weeks between signing the papers and moving day felt both endless and too short. Ryan packed his townhouse with methodical precision, labeling boxes by room and content, color-coding everything like the logistics coordinator he was. Claire's approach was chaotic, throwing things into boxes at random, relying on memory she definitely wouldn't have when unpacking. "You need a system," Ryan said, watching her stuff kitchen utensils into a box already containing bath towels. "I have a system. It's called controlled chaos. There's nothing controlled about it. It works for me." They were in Clara's kitchen on a Tuesday evening, the kids supposedly helping but mostly getting in the way. Noah had wrapped himself in bubble wrap and was rolling around the living room. Sophie was carefully packing her butterfly collection, each item protected like precious cargo. Oliver was attempting to organize the books, but kept getting distracted reading them. "This is insane," Clara said, surveying the disaster around them. "How did I accumulate so much stuff?" "You've lived here 4 years. That's not an excuse for owning 7 spatulas." "You have 7 spatulas?" "Apparently." She held up another one from a drawer. "Make that 8. Ryan laughed, pulling her close despite her protests about being too sweaty and stressed. "We've got this." "Do we? Because I'm pretty sure we're going to show up at the new house with 1,000 boxes and no idea what's in any of them." "Then we'll figure it out together, like everything else." Clara leaned into him, exhausted. "I can't believe this is happening. In 2 weeks, we're going to wake up in the same house. Every morning. That's a lot of mornings." "Best kind of a lot." She pulled back to look at him. "Are you ever scared, like actually terrified that we're making a massive mistake?" "Every single day." "Really?" "Really, but I'm also excited and hopeful, and about 15 other emotions I don't have names for." "Me too." She kissed him quickly. "Okay, back to packing. If I don't finish the kitchen tonight, I never will." They worked until almost midnight, making progress that felt both significant and insufficient. When Ryan finally drove home, his back aching and his mind buzzing, he found Oliver still awake, sitting on his bed surrounded by boxes. "Can't sleep?" Ryan asked from the doorway. "I keep thinking about the new house." "Excited thoughts or worried thoughts?" Oliver considered. "Both? I'm excited about having Sophie and Noah there all the time, but also, what if it's weird, living with them?" Ryan sat on the edge of the bed. "It probably will be weird at first. Different routines, different rules, learning to share space, but we'll figure it out. What if Sophie gets annoyed with me? She's really smart, and sometimes I say dumb things." "You don't say dumb things, and Sophie already likes you. She wouldn't text you about monarchs migrating to California if she didn't." That got a small smile. "I guess." "What else are you worried about?" "Mom." Oliver picked at his bedspread. "She sounded really mad when I told her about the house. What if she tries to stop us?" It was a valid fear. Amanda had been increasingly cold in their recent conversations, making vague threats about lawyers and custody arrangements. Ryan had been trying not to worry Oliver with it, but his son was perceptive. "Your mom can't stop us from moving in with Clara," Ryan said carefully. "She might not like it, but she doesn't get to make that decision." "But she could make me come live with her, right? If she wanted?" Ryan's chest tightened. "Is that what you're worried about?" She said maybe I should spend more time in Denver, that maybe the new house would be too crowded. Fury rose in Ryan's throat, white-hot and immediate. Amanda had no right to plant those seeds of doubt, to make Oliver feel unwanted in his own home. But he swallowed it down, kept his voice calm. "Oliver, look at me." He waited until his son's eyes met his. "You live with me. That's not changing. Your mom has visitation rights, which means you see her every other weekend and some holidays. But your home is with me. And soon it'll be with me and Clara and Sophie and Noah. Nobody's taking that away. Promise?" "I promise. And if your mom wants to see you more, we can talk about that. But it would be your choice, not hers." Oliver nodded slowly, some of the tension leaving his shoulders. Okay, I just, I like what we're building. I don't want anything to mess it up. Nothing's going to mess it up. How do you know? Because I'm not going to let it. Because Clara's not going to let it. Because we're all choosing this every day. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, surrounded by boxes containing Oliver's whole life, about to be transported to a new beginning. Dad? Oliver's voice was small. Do you think you and Clara will get married? The question caught Ryan off guard. Maybe someday. We haven't talked about it yet. But you love her, right? I do, very much. And she loves you? I think so. She does. I can tell. Oliver lay back on his pillow, suddenly looking much younger than 8. I think you should marry her. Then we'd really be a family. Ryan's throat felt tight. We're already really a family, bud. Marriage certificate or not. Yeah, I guess you're right. He yawned, finally giving in to exhaustion. Night, Dad. Night, champ. Love you. Love you too. Ryan turned off the light, stood in the doorway watching his son drift off to sleep. Marriage. He and Clara hadn't discussed it, both too focused on the immediate challenge of combining households. But the idea had been lurking in the back of Ryan's mind, growing roots. He thought about it as he finished packing his own room, as he lay in bed unable to sleep as the days counted down to moving day. Was he ready to marry again? Was Clara? Did it even matter when they were already building a life together? The Friday before the move, Clara showed up at his door at 10 p.m., looking frazzled and desperate. I need help, she said without preamble. What's wrong? My mother. She pushed past him into the house, pacing his living room like a caged animal. She came over tonight to help pack and spent 2 hours telling me everything that could go wrong. How it's too fast, how I barely know you, how I'm being irresponsible with the kids. What did you say? I told her to leave. Then I cried in my bathroom for 20 minutes while Sophie asked if Grandma was mad at her. Clara stopped pacing, turned to face him. Am I crazy? Tell me honestly, is this completely insane? Ryan crossed the room, took her hands. It's not crazy. My mother thinks it is. She listed all the statistics about blended families failing. Did you know 70% end in divorce? We're not married, but we might as well be. We're moving in together, raising kids together, building a whole life together. What's the difference? The difference is we're choosing this every day, not because a piece of paper says we should, but because we want to. Clara's eyes filled with tears. She said I'm being selfish, that I'm putting my needs before my kids' stability. That's bullshit and you know it. Is it? Because sometimes I wonder if she's right, if I'm so desperate for this to work that I'm ignoring all the warning signs. What warning signs? I don't know, that's the problem. Maybe there are signs and I'm just not seeing them because I don't want to. Ryan guided her to the couch, sat beside her. Look at me. What does your gut tell you? Not your mother, not statistics, not fear. Your gut. Clara was quiet for a long moment, breathing through her panic. That this is right. That you're right. That our kids are happy and we're building something good. Then trust that. But what if there's always going to be what ifs? We can't live our lives afraid of every possible bad outcome. Sometimes you just have to jump and trust that you'll figure out the flying part on the way down. Clara laughed despite her tears. That's terrible advice. It's honest advice. She leaned against him, exhausted. I'm so tired of being scared. I know. I want to just be happy, to enjoy this instead of waiting for it to fall apart. So do that. Be happy. I'll help you. They sat like that for a long time, Clara's breathing gradually slowing, the panic attack subsiding. Eventually she sat up, wiping her eyes. I should go. The kids are with my mom, and I'm sure she's filling their heads with doubts. Want me to come with you? To face my mother? Are you insane? Probably, but I'll do it anyway. Clara studied him, something soft and grateful in her expression. I love you. Have I said that recently? Not in the last hour. Well, I do, even when I'm a mess, especially when I'm a mess. I love you too, mess and all. She kissed him, soft and lingering, before heading to the door. 2 more days until we move. 2 more days. Then we're really doing this. We're really doing this. After she left, Ryan sat in his quiet living room, thinking about Clara's mother's warnings, about Amanda's resentment, about all the people who thought they were moving too fast or making a mistake. Maybe they were right. Maybe the statistics were against them. Maybe blended families were harder than either of them imagined. But maybe that didn't matter. Maybe what mattered was showing up, trying, choosing each other even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. Moving day arrived with unexpected sunshine and unseasonable warmth for March. Ryan had hired movers for the big furniture, but everything else was a chaotic collaboration of friends and family. Julie showed up at 7 a.m. with coffee and energy. Clara's mother came, still disapproving but helping anyway because that's what mothers did. Even Amanda made a surprise appearance to see Oliver off, her face carefully neutral as she surveyed the organized chaos. "Big day," she said to Ryan while Oliver was distracted with boxes. "Yeah. You're really sure about this?" Ryan met her eyes, saw the genuine concern beneath the resentment. "I am. He's happy. I can see that. I just—" She trailed off, struggling with words. "I just want him to stay that way." "So do I. That's why I'm doing this." Amanda nodded slowly. "If she hurts him? If you hurt him? I know. You'll destroy me. I deserve it." Something like respect flickered across her face. "Take care of him. Always." She said goodbye to Oliver, a long hug that made the boy squirm, then drove away without acknowledging Clara, who was directing movers at her own townhouse. Ryan watched her go, feeling the weight of that bridge not quite burned, but definitely damaged. The actual move was controlled chaos. 3 kids running between houses, trying to help, but mostly getting underfoot. Boxes stacked in wrong rooms. Furniture that didn't fit where they'd planned. A moment of pure panic when they couldn't find Sophie's butterfly collection, followed by relief when it turned up in Noah's toy box. By 6 p.m., both townhouses were empty, and the new house was full of unlabeled boxes and exhausted people. The movers had left. Julie had taken the kids for pizza to give Ryan and Clara a moment to breathe. Clara's mother had departed with a tight hug and whispered, "I hope you know what you're doing." Ryan and Clara stood in their new living room, surrounded by chaos, looking at each other across the mess. "We did it," Clara said. "We did it. This is our house. Our house." She started laughing, the slightly hysterical kind that comes from exhaustion and relief and overwhelming emotion. Ryan joined her, both of them laughing until they were crying, holding each other in the middle of their new home. "I can't believe we actually did this," Clara said when she could breathe again. "Me neither. What now?" "Now we unpack about 1,000,000 boxes and figure out how to live together." That's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. But they were smiling. Despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, despite all the very real challenges ahead, they were smiling. The kids came home buzzing with pizza-fueled energy, immediately claiming their bedrooms and begging to unpack. Sophie's room got painted yellow the following weekend. Noah's got blue, and Oliver's stayed neutral gray at his request. They hung artwork and organized closets, and slowly, box by box, the house became a home. The first week was an adjustment. Noah had nightmares and wanted Clara, which meant Sophie also woke up, which meant everyone was awake at 2 a.m. Oliver didn't like the new breakfast routine. Sophie complained that Noah was too loud. Ryan and Clara were exhausted, short-tempered, questioning everything. "This was a mistake," Clara said one particularly brutal morning. Everyone fighting about everything, coffee spilled on the floor, nobody ready for school on time. "It's an adjustment," Ryan corrected, mopping up coffee while simultaneously helping Noah tie his shoes. "It's a disaster." "It's Tuesday." "What does that mean?" "It means we've lived together for 6 days. Give it time." But privately, Ryan was worried too. The kids who'd gotten along perfectly on weekends were struggling with full-time cohabitation. Sophie needed quiet to concentrate on homework, and Noah was constitutionally incapable of quiet. Oliver was used to having Ryan's full attention, and now had to share. The house that had seemed spacious suddenly felt cramped with 5 people and their competing needs. They had their first real fight that Friday night. The kids were finally asleep after a marathon bedtime routine involving 3 separate negotiations and 1 minor meltdown. Ryan and Clara collapsed on the couch, both too tired to even consider unpacking more boxes. "Sophie says she wants to go stay with my mom for a while," Clara said into the silence. Ryan's heart sank. Why? Because it's too loud here. Because she misses having her own space. Because change is hard and she's 6 years old. What did you tell her? That we'd talk about it, but Ryan, if she's unhappy, she's adjusting. They all are. Or maybe we forced this too fast and now we're dealing with the consequences. Don't do that. Don't panic 3 weeks in. Clara sat up, anger flashing in her eyes. I'm not panicking. I'm being realistic. My daughter is unhappy. So we help her adjust. We don't just give up. I'm not talking about giving up. I'm talking about being flexible. Maybe she needs some time away to process. Or maybe she needs to see that we're committed, that when things get hard, we don't just bail. Is that a dig at me? What? No, Clara, because I didn't bail. I asked for time to think. There's a difference. I know there is. I'm not... Ryan stopped, took a breath. I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying that if we send Sophie away every time she's uncomfortable, we're teaching her that family is temporary. And if we force her to stay when she's miserable, we're teaching her that her feelings don't matter. They glared at each other across the couch, the first real conflict of their cohabitation, both too stubborn to back down. So what do we do? Ryan asked finally. I don't know. That's the problem. I don't have the answers. Neither do I. They sat in frustrated silence. Then Clara laughed, a short, bitter sound. We're really bad at this. At what? At being a blended family. At knowing what to do. At everything. We've been doing it for 3 weeks. Feels like 3 years. Ryan shifted closer, took her hand. We're going to fight. We're going to disagree about parenting stuff. We're going to have moments where we wonder what the hell we were thinking. That's normal. Is it? I think so. I hope so. Clara leaned her head on his shoulder. I'm sorry I snapped at you. I'm sorry I made it sound like you wanted to give up. I know you don't. I don't. I just want Sophie to be happy. So do I. So let's figure out what that looks like, together. They talked for another hour, working through possible solutions. Maybe Sophie needed a quiet corner of the house that was just hers. Maybe they needed to implement quiet time every afternoon. Maybe they needed to have a family meeting and let the kids help create the house rules. By the time they went to bed, in their shared bedroom, still weird but wonderful, they had a plan. Not a perfect plan, but a start. The next morning, they called a family meeting. All 5 of them squeezed onto the couch, the kids curious and a little apprehensive. So we've all been living together for a few weeks now, Clara started, and it's been an adjustment for everyone. We wanted to check in and see how you're all feeling. Sophie spoke first, always direct. It's too loud. I can't concentrate on my drawing. I'm not too loud, Noah protested. You are. You're always playing and yelling and making noise. That's because playing is fun. Okay, Ryan intervened. Noah, Sophie needs quiet time sometimes to work on her art. Can you understand that? Noah thought about it. I guess, but what am I supposed to do when she needs quiet? Maybe you could play with me, Oliver suggested. We could build Legos in my room. Really? Yeah, if you want. Noah's face lit up. Cool. Sophie looked mollified. And maybe I could use the dining room for art when I need quiet, since nobody really eats there. That's a great idea, Clara said. We can set up an art station for you. What about me? Oliver asked. Can I have the garage for my telescope? Ryan and Clara exchanged glances. The garage was full of unpacked boxes and definitely not safe for an 8-year-old to hang out in alone. How about the back porch? Ryan suggested. Clear sky view, still safe. Okay, deal. They spent the next hour talking through rules and expectations. Bedtimes, chores, quiet hours, shared spaces versus private spaces. The kids had opinions about everything, some reasonable and some wildly optimistic. But they were engaged, invested, helping to build the framework of their family. One more thing, Clara said as the meeting was winding down. I know this has been a big change for everyone. And it's okay if sometimes you miss how things used to be, or if you're frustrated, or if you need space. But we're a family now. That means we talk about things instead of keeping them inside. Deal? Deal, 3 voices chorused. After the meeting, Sophie approached Ryan while he was unpacking boxes in the garage. Can I talk to you? She asked, serious as always. Of course. She was quiet for a moment, organizing her thoughts. I don't actually want to go stay with Grandma. No? No. I just said that because I was frustrated. But this is my home now, with you and Oliver and Noah and Mom. Ryan's chest felt full. I'm glad. We want you here. Even when I'm grumpy about noise? Especially then. Sophie smiled, that rare, genuine smile that Ryan had learned to treasure. Okay, good. Can you help me set up my art station? I'd love to. They spent the afternoon transforming the dining room corner into Sophie's creative space. A table by the window, her supplies organized in containers, her butterfly collection displayed on shelves Ryan installed. When Clara came home from a quick grocery run, she found them hanging Sophie's artwork on the walls. This is beautiful, Clara said, eyes bright. Ryan helped, Sophie said proudly. He said I could use this whole corner whenever I want. He did he? Is that okay, Mom? It's more than okay, baby. It's perfect. That evening, they had their first real family dinner in the new house. 5 of them around the table. Not the fancy dining table in the room that was now Sophie's art space, but the kitchen table they'd squeezed in from Clara's old place. It was cramped and chaotic, elbows knocking, conversations overlapping, Noah spilling his milk within the first 5 minutes. It was perfect. Oliver, pass the potatoes, Sophie requested. Say please. Please. Here you go. Thank you. Noah, mouthful of chicken, launched into an animated story about something that happened at preschool. Ryan and Clara exchanged glances across the table, the silent communication of partners who were figuring it out, one meal at a time. After dinner, after baths and bedtime stories, and the elaborate routine of getting 3 kids to sleep, Ryan and Clara finally collapsed in their own bed. The house was quiet except for the normal sounds. The refrigerator humming, the heater clicking on, the soft breathing from 3 bedrooms down the hall. We survived day 21, Clara said. Only about 6,000 more to go until they're all 18. That's a horrifying math problem. Ryan pulled her close. Today was good, though. Today was really good. She paused. I'm sorry I freaked out about Sophie. Don't be. You were being a good mom. You were too. To all of them. Trying. Succeeding. They lay in comfortable silence, the weight of the day settling into their bones. Then Clara shifted, propping herself up on one elbow to look at him. I was thinking, she said, always dangerous. She swatted his arm. Seriously, I was thinking about us, about this. And I don't want to wait anymore. Ryan's heart started beating faster. Wait for what? For the rest of our lives to start. We're already living together, already raising kids together, already building everything. The only thing missing is making it official. Clara, I know we said we wouldn't rush into anything, and I know we've only been together 6 months, but Ryan, I'm sure. I'm more sure about this than I've been about anything in my entire life. Ryan sat up, turning to face her fully. What are you saying? I'm saying marry me, or let me marry you, however that works. I'm saying I want to be your wife, and I want you to be my husband, and I want to stop pretending there's any universe where this doesn't work out. Ryan felt tears prick his eyes. You're proposing to me? I am. Is that weird? Should I have waited for you to ask? It's not weird. It's perfect. You're perfect. So is that a yes? That's absolutely a yes. He pulled her into a kiss, deep and desperate, both of them laughing and crying. Yes, I want to marry you. I want all of this. Everything. Forever. They kissed until they were breathless, holding each other like they were afraid to let go. When they finally broke apart, Clara was grinning. We're getting married, she said, like testing out the words. We're getting married. The kids are going to lose their minds. In the best way. Should we tell them tomorrow? Let's wait until morning. Let them sleep. But neither of them could sleep. They lay in bed talking about the future. A small ceremony, maybe at the park where they'd had their second date. Both families, just close friends. The kids involved in every part. Simple and real in theirs. I can't believe this is my life, Clara whispered as dawn started creeping through the curtains. 6 months ago I was alone, convinced I'd be alone forever. And now you're stuck with me and 3 kids in a chaotic house. Best kind of stuck. They told the kids at breakfast. The reaction was exactly as predicted. Noah cheered so loud the neighbors probably heard. Sophie smiled her rare smile and asked if she could help design the invitations, and Oliver pumped his fist in the air. "I knew it," Oliver said. "I told Dad you should get married." "You did?" Clara asked. "Like 3 weeks ago." "I have good instincts." "You really do, buddy." They spent the morning celebrating in their own way. Pancakes shaped like hearts, plans sketched on napkins, the kids arguing about whether they should all wear matching outfits to the wedding. Noah was very pro-matching. Sophie was horrified by the idea. Oliver didn't care as long as he didn't have to wear a tie. Julie called mid-morning, somehow already knowing even though Ryan hadn't told her. "I had a feeling," she said when Ryan answered. "The way you talked about her yesterday. So when's the wedding?" "We just got engaged an hour ago." And we're thinking small, soon, maybe this summer. I'm officiating." "You're not licensed." "I'll get licensed. I'm not missing this, Ryan." "You deserve this." His throat felt tight. "Thanks, Jules. I'm proud of you, both of you, for being brave enough to try." After he hung up, Ryan found Clara in Sophie's art corner, looking at the butterfly drawings with soft eyes. "Your sister called," he said.
"Already? How does she know everything?" "Sister telepathy." "Apparently." Clara turned to face him. "Are we really doing this, getting married in a few months?" "If you want to." "I do want to. She gestured at the house around them. "We still have boxes to unpack. The kids are still adjusting. Everything's still so new. So we figure it out as we go. Like everything else." Clara crossed the room, wrapped her arms around his waist. "I love that you're not scared." "Oh, I'm terrified. I'm just good at hiding it. You and me both." That afternoon, Clara had to work an unexpected shift at the hospital. One of the nurses called in sick. Ryan stayed with all 3 kids, navigating dinner and homework and the complex dynamics of siblings who were still learning each other. Sophie and Oliver worked on math together at the kitchen table. Noah built an elaborate Lego city in the living room, occasionally recruiting Ryan for engineering advice. It was domestic and chaotic and normal. Around 7, Noah appeared in the kitchen doorway. "Ryan?" Ryan looked up from helping Oliver with fractions. "Yeah, buddy? Can I call you Dad?" The room went completely silent. Sophie and Oliver both froze, watching. Ryan felt his heart stop, restart, pound against his ribs. "You want to call me Dad?" he asked carefully. Noah nodded, suddenly shy. "I don't have a dad. And you do dad things, like make breakfast and fix stuff and help with Legos. So, can I?" Ryan knelt down to Noah's level, eye to eye. "I would love that. Nothing would make me happier." "Really?" "Really." Noah threw his arms around Ryan's neck, hugging tight. "Okay, good. Thanks, Dad." The word felt like a gift, like a responsibility, like the most important thing Ryan had ever been called besides Oliver's dad. He hugged Noah back, blinking away tears. When Noah ran off to continue his Lego construction, Sophie was watching with her serious eyes. "Can I call you Dad too?" she asked quietly. "You absolutely can. Both of you. Anytime you want." Sophie nodded, processing. Then, very softly, "Okay. Thanks, Dad." Oliver was grinning. "See? I told you they'd like you." "You were right." That evening, after all 3 kids were in bed, Ryan called Clara at work during her break. "So Noah asked if he could call me Dad," he said when she answered. He heard her sharp intake of breath. "What did you say?" "I said yes. And then Sophie asked too." Clara was crying. He could hear it in her voice. "They love you. They really love you." "I love them too, so much. Clara, I know I'm not their biological father, but you're their dad. In every way that matters, you're their dad." "Yeah? Yeah. And that's—" She couldn't finish the sentence, too overcome. "I have to go. My break's over. But Ryan, thank you for being exactly what they needed. Thank you for letting me."
The
weeks leading up to the wedding were a blur of planning and adjusting and learning. They picked a date in early June, giving them 3 months to prepare. Clara's mother slowly came around, seeing how happy her daughter was, how well the kids were thriving. Even Amanda sent a grudging congratulations, though she declined the invitation to the ceremony. The kids were involved in everything. Sophie designed invitations covered in butterflies. Noah insisted on being the ring bearer, taking his job very seriously. Oliver wrote a speech that made everyone cry during rehearsal. The night before the wedding, Ryan lay in bed unable to sleep. Tomorrow he'd marry Clara Hayes, would officially become father to Sophie and Noah, would bind his life irrevocably to theirs. It should have terrified him. Instead, he felt peace. Clara appeared in the doorway. They'd spent the night apart per tradition, but she couldn't sleep either.
"Hey," she whispered. "Hey, isn't it bad luck to see each other before the wedding?" "It's already tomorrow. Technically, we're safe." She climbed into bed beside him. "I'm so nervous. About marrying me? About everything going right, about the kids behaving, about my mother crying too loudly, about forgetting my vows." "Did you write vows?"
3 different versions. I can't decide which one to use. Ryan pulled her close. It doesn't matter which version. They're all going to be perfect because they're coming from you.
"How are you so calm?"
I'm not. My hands haven't stopped shaking since this morning. She laced her fingers through his, felt the tremor. We're a mess. The best kind of mess. They lay there together, breaking tradition but not caring, holding each other through the last hours of being engaged. When dawn finally broke, painting their room in soft gold light, Clara kissed him gently. "See you at the altar," she said. "Can't wait." The ceremony was everything they'd wanted, small, intimate, real. They'd chosen the same park where they'd had their second date, the creek bubbling in the background, early summer sunshine warm on their skin. 40 people gathered on folding chairs, family, close friends, the people who mattered. Ryan stood at the makeshift altar with Oliver beside him as best man, his son looking proud in his button-down shirt and khakis. Sophie and Noah stood with Clara, both fidgeting with excitement. When Clara appeared on her mother's arm, Ryan forgot how to breathe. She wore a simple cream dress, wildflowers in her hair, the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Her eyes found his across the distance, and she smiled, that genuine, unguarded smile that still made his heart race. Julie officiated, having gotten licensed online specifically for this. Her ceremony was short and sweet, acknowledging the unconventional path that brought them here, celebrating the family they'd built. Ryan and Clara didn't come to each other empty-handed, Julie said. They came with children, with histories, with complications and responsibilities and baggage. Some people might see that as obstacles. They saw it as gifts. They saw each other, really saw each other, scars and struggles included, and chose love anyway. When it came time for vows, Clara went first. She pulled out her paper with shaking hands. "Ryan, 6 months ago, I dropped my dentist's business card in a coffee shop, and you picked it up. That small gesture changed everything. You saw me, tired, guarded, afraid of hoping for anything, and you didn't run. You stayed. Through my panic, my doubts, my chaos, you loved my kids like they were yours before I even knew I was ready. You showed up at midnight to fix my car battery. You painted Sophie's room yellow and taught Noah about spiders and gave Oliver siblings he adores. You didn't just choose me, you chose all of us. And I choose you. Every day, for the rest of our lives, I choose you." Ryan was already crying by the time she finished. He didn't have paper, had memorized his vows, and hoped he'd remember them. "Clara, I was existing but not living when I met you. Going through motions, playing it safe, too afraid of being hurt again to risk anything real. Then you sat across from me in a restaurant and said, I could leave because you had 2 kids, and I realized I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay. Not despite the complications, but because of them. Because real love isn't easy and clean and simple. It's messy and hard and requires choosing each other even when it's inconvenient. You taught me how to be brave again, how to build instead of just survive. And I promise to keep showing up, keep choosing this family, keep loving you and Sophie and Noah with everything I have. For better or worse, in chaos and in calm, forever." There wasn't a dry eye in the crowd. Julie had to pause to compose herself before continuing. The rings were simple bands they'd chosen together. Noah carried them with extreme solemnity, walking slow and careful. When Ryan slipped the ring on Clara's finger, he whispered, "I love you," and she whispered back, "I know. I now pronounce you husband and wife. Julie declared, voice thick with emotion. You may kiss your bride. Ryan pulled Clara close, kissed her thoroughly while their families cheered and the kids groaned dramatically. When they broke apart, both laughing, Julie amended, I also pronounce you a family, all 5 of you, officially and forever. The reception was casual, barbecue and cake in Julie's backyard, kids running wild, adults relaxing with cold drinks. Ryan and Clara spent the afternoon circulating among guests, accepting congratulations, watching their children play together. We did it, Clara said during a quiet moment, just the 2 of them standing at the edge of the yard. We did. I'm somebody's wife. I'm somebody's husband. That's so weird. The best kind of weird. She leaned against him, exhausted and happy. What happens now? Now we go home, unpack the rest of those boxes, figure out whose turn it is to make breakfast, live our lives. Sounds perfect. That evening, after the celebration ended and they'd loaded 3 very tired kids into the car, they drove home to their house in Briargate. Sophie fell asleep in the car. Noah wasn't far behind, and Oliver stared out the window with a peaceful expression. Ryan carried Sophie inside while Clara handled Noah. Oliver walked himself, still holding the boutonniere from the wedding-like treasure. They put the kids to bed, a practiced routine now, 4 months into living together, then collapsed on their couch, still in their wedding clothes. My feet hurt, Clara announced. Mine too. These shoes are terrible. Beauty is pain. Whoever said that never wore heels to their own wedding, Ryan laughed, pulling her feet into his lap to massage them. Clara groaned with relief. Best husband ever, she declared. Damn right. They sat in comfortable silence, the house settling around them. 3 sleeping children down the hall. A kitchen still full of unpacked boxes from the move, a backyard that needed mowing, a life that was messy and complicated and absolutely perfect. Do you remember what you said that first night? Clara asked. At the restaurant when I told you about my kids? I said a lot of things. You said being a parent didn't scare you. Running from something real did. Ryan remembered. Yeah. I thought you were crazy. Too good to be true. I kept waiting for you to realize what you'd gotten yourself into and bail. And you never did. You stayed through every panic attack, every doubt, every moment I tried to push you away. You just stayed. Of course I stayed. Where else would I go? Clara's eyes filled with tears, happy ones, the kind she cried often these days. I love you so much it's scary. I love you too, scary amounts. We're married. Us legally and everything. That's insane. Completely insane. But right? But completely right. They stayed on the couch long into the night, too wired to sleep despite exhaustion, talking about everything and nothing, making plans for the summer, a camping trip maybe, teaching Noah to ride a bike, Sophie's butterfly pavilion visit they'd promised months ago. The ordinary magic of building a future together. Eventually, they dragged themselves to bed, both still in wedding clothes, too tired to change. Clara fell asleep almost immediately, her head on Ryan's chest, her breathing deep and even. Ryan lay awake a while longer, listening to the sounds of his house, the creak of old wood settling, the whisper of wind against windows, the soft breathing from 3 bedrooms down the hall, Oliver in his room with the mountain view, Sophie in her yellow sanctuary, Noah in his blue kingdom. His family, complete and chaotic, and his. He thought about the man he'd been 6 months ago, carrying silence like armor, existing but not living, afraid to hope for anything beyond survival. That man felt like a stranger now, someone from a different lifetime, a different universe. Clara stirred in her sleep, burrowing closer. Ryan tightened his arms around her, breathing in the scent of her shampoo and the fading wildflowers from her hair. This was what he'd been looking for without knowing it. Not perfection, not ease, not some fairy tale version of love that only existed in movies. But this, messy, complicated, difficult, real. A woman who challenged him, children who needed him, a life that required his full presence every single day. Some people might have called it settling, taking on someone else's kids, someone else's complications, building a life on the ruins of previous failures. Ryan called it choosing love over fear, choosing presence over safety, choosing to build something new instead of protecting himself from being hurt again. And in the morning, when 3 kids thundered into their bedroom demanding breakfast and attention and help with various crises, when Clara groaned and pulled the covers over her head, and Ryan laughed and promised pancakes if everyone brushed their teeth first, when chaos descended in the beautiful, terrible way it always did, he'd choose it again. Every single day, for the rest of his life. He'd choose this. He'd choose them. He'd choose home.